although she's got huge damage reduction, they basically changed it to a flat 35% damage reduction as opposed to just giving her loads of armor and shielding. She also really struggles versus hard CC. So you're going up into a Meline, an Adagio, an Arden, a Kinetic Stun as well as also the Yates. She's going to struggle in a team fight situation. So unless she's going to be a pure distraction for the Gwen and Chuck on the Lorelei, I struggle to see what kind of impact Neon Fire is going to have on this duel other than strictly split pushing. I actually think if we get into a true 5v5 scenario, I do actually favor Hammy's team because I think they've got the better 5v5 overall, simply because their consistent damage output, in my opinion, as the game goes on, is a bit better. So I think the win condition for Chuck's team comes a little bit more from a split push variant or snowballing from the mid game with that Gwen.
We'll have to see if they're able to do that. I mean, you're definitely right. There's a lot more consistent factors here on the side of Hammy's roster, especially with that kinetic. If she can provide that sustained damage from the backline, then she's going to be a devastating sight. So far, it does seem like the pressure is on, and Evil's team is bringing it. Cos and outplayed, able to find that bot turret, able to take away the Treant as well. It's going to be answered with Lulu taking down the top side turret as well. And now things start to group up around the mid lane. Neon Fire, Chuck and Evo trying to secure their Crystal Treant against the approaching Hammy squadron. Trying to steal that one away. Lulu sniped it away last time. I'm not sure he's going to be able to this time. Here comes an engage! Here comes the CC! Here comes the damage! It's disgusting! Everyone's dying! And it's going to be Hammy and everyone going back to base. Archaic going to run and split up the fight, but it's all over before it even started. That's going to be everyone on the side of Hammy's team dying, and just as the Ghostwing spawns.
That was disgusting. That combo right there, perfectly timed at the level 6 of Evo, and they're going to get the Ghostwing off the back of it as well. That was just a pure CC chain coming out from Evo's team. They planned that really well, and I talked about duel in a teamfight situation. Actually, going down the CP build path, which is much, much better in the team fight. You're there purely for an ultimate, and with the amount of CC that you can actually throw down, those ultimates actually could be really impactful, especially in clumped up areas like in those jungles like you just saw there, and around the dragon pits. The duel ultimates can actually get a lot of work done. So Neon going down the CP build path here for duel is actually going to be much better for team fight scenarios, coupled with the the Finn stun, with the Impale, with the stun coming out from both Louis and also Chuck. With the right setup, this is a devastating team fight to play against.
The Wombo combo is real from Evil's team here. If the captain can set it up, then the rest of the team can follow. They've always been the issue of Wombo combo is Scoundrel, is if you play around it, if you're able to calculate it, time it, to avoid it, then all of a sudden that win condition's gone. Hammy's team going to have to be playing pixel perfect if they want to be able to avoid these pulls from Evil.
And remember, Finn is so good on this update because the Crucible cooldown has gone up and Finn's hook cooldown has stayed the same. So actually, you are much more likely to find a team fight where you can force a Crucible with your ultimate and then just wait for your ultimate to come back up, knowing that their Crucible will not be ready to go. So that makes Finn really impactful in team fights as well. Plus the fact that a lot of supports right now tend to be rushing the fountain. So there is a big period in the mid game where Finn can actually get free pulls off and not many people can deal with it. Like this.
Like that. Holy moly. That's going to be Archaic going down in just a second. You would seem, but maybe they're turning it around. Cos has to get the Lorelei shield to keep himself alive. And so all of a sudden, Hammy's team showcases that they have the power to hold off here. They got the shield and the healing, and Hammy's got the damage. Maybe they can hold this one together. Outplayed, though. He's currently getting destroyed by Rock Bomber. Louis Vuitton, what was that? We won't talk about it, mate. It's okay. No one saw it.
Well, I mean, if you get stuck into a 1v1 versus a Yates, it's actually quite difficult for the Gwen because Yates' hard CC locks her down. She's only got one way to escape the CC with her B. And actually, I actually max B on the weapon power Gwen. I actually just think having the off cooldown more often is better. And I don't actually think you get much from maxing your A because the weapon power ratios are not the best in the world. So I actually end up maxing B on weapon power Gwen just for these kind of situations where you might need it a bit more. But regardless, even if you max it, you're not going to get it off cooldown as quickly as you need to versus a Yates. So that is something that Gwen always has to be aware of. And actually, good solo kill there from Rock Bomber.
Yeah. Look at that. Oh, he doesn't get it, actually. Not yet. Oh, misses the A as well. Louis Lulu not going to be able to find the kill onto Neon Fire there. It was pretty close, played it down to the wire. Right now, things are holding on for the side of Team Hammy. Evil's squad here has the gold in their advantage. They got the wombo combo and the ability to execute it here. It's really just a question of when will Evo pull the trigger here, because the CC lock that they have, as well as that AoE damage that comes from a CP jewel that Neon Fire can throw out, is pretty gross. Ghost Wing's back on the map as well, Scoundrel, so there are objectives to fight over here, especially that mid turret as well. Evil's going to be moving on in to try and pressure on Hammy.
They're going to go for this mid lane tier 1, and I think the slow response coming out from Hammy's team means they will not be able to deal with it very easily. And now they can set up for a Ghost Wing, having taken that mid lane turret. Neon working his way down towards the pit. It doesn't look like Lulu is actually going to move at this point in time, so I feel like this is going to be a free Ghost Wing now going over to Evil's team.
Yeah, and you have to be so careful as well that Finn can just initiate the team fight. Not going to quite land it. Oh, was that a Crucible used? I believe it was.
It was.
Hammy is now in trouble as well. He's going to be the target. He's avoiding the CC. He gets locked against the wall, though. The burst is there, surviving, turning it back on his head. Here comes Rock Bubba to re-engage. Lulu's lost his life, but there's the Arden Gauntlet laying down the fight. Doesn't matter. AoE from Evil's team, too strong. And it's only Rock Bubba left alive, stunned up, trying to run. But can he run forever? No, he can't. Hammy's team falls before his eyes, and now he has to protect his lane.
That was the mistake that was made right there. The Crucible, well, not even a Crucible actually, it's a reflex block, mate. He didn't even have the Crucible finished, so at this point in time, Finn still has that big mid-game presence that we talked about, and not many people prioritize reflex blocks early on in this current meta because it is so important to invest in those damage items as quickly as you can. Wow, really, really nice fight coming out. And also the fact that everybody was just booting in to make sure they got into a situation where they could then isolate Lulu and Hammy, who were grouped up in their red side jungle. Really good stuff coming out from Evil's team. They've solidified themselves a really solid advantage to work with here. Do want to point out, by the way, the build coming out from Lulu, something that I was talking about to you before the stream started. We were talking a little bit about the merits of Tension Bow versus Bonesaw, and I said I don't think Bonesaw is that bad on ranged weapon power carries that really do rely on attack speed. It looks like Lulu is trying the build out here with Serpent's Mask Tension Bow, and I actually think that's a really good frontline shred build, and versus a Finn especially, might come out really useful.
Yeah, I think you just need to get that sustained damage that the Breaking Point can provide if you really want to be able to start doing the damage, because right now it is a fairly low damage build with just the Serpent Mask to add to your power here. Lulu gonna have a lot of pressure on his shoulders, I feel, here to actually get that sustained damage, and it's gonna take a while to do it. I think Evols knows that this is a point where they have the power. They can rush this Black Claw down. There's nothing really that Team Hammy can do about it. In fact, they're not even contesting. They decided to go for a turret in the bot lane instead. So this is free. And now, once they get this turret in the bot lane, they're going to have to recall, go back to base, and try and defend the barrage that Team Evo is going to bring.
I actually think that was a smart move coming out of Hammy's team. They realized that their team fight situations, they're just purely outclassed in terms of damage spike at this point in time. And so they knew the only thing that they get on trade was going to be a turret. So at the end of the day, if they take down Blacklaw, only losing their mid lane armory turret, they've made a 1-for-1 turret trade, and they get the Blacklaw gold as well. So it's actually not the worst thing in the world, even if it seems bad. As long as they can protect their armory, which Blacklaw going down so quick, they might be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, Lulu has a lot of damage with that Bonesaw with the Serpent's Mask. Here comes that dual ult, not really getting any damage down. This is going to be the Black Claw pretty much taken down fairly quickly. The armory might lose its life, though. Hammy's forced to use his B pretty quickly. Gauntlet laid down, just a defensive one. That's going to be the engage onto Cos. Neon Fire dives on in. Good S's high locks up, and now they're retreating. Can Evo get out is the question. Holding the fort line, and now he has to retreat himself. Looks like everyone is going to be able to escape here nice and safely. Black Claw secures the armory turret and the armory itself. Not a bad trade for Team Hammy. They're still in this.
Yeah, I mean, they lose the armory, which honestly I think was going to be inevitable with the massive aggressive push coming out from Evol's team, but it's not the worst in the world. That Black Claw could have very easily spelt the end of the game if they weren't careful. Actually, I want to point out how much damage Lulu Zio was doing with this particular build. He was shredding. Once he built up those Bonesaw stacks, he was doing a lot of damage on just 2 items. So you do have to respect the damage output that Kinetic can have with this particular build.
Yeah, absolutely. With Archaic as well, the tension bow building in towards that heavy steel, and Yates as well. So there's a lot of frontline burst damage that could be provided from the side of Team Hammy. If Hammy himself, as well as Luluzio, can be on that backline providing the sustained burst that their two heroes can do, then they're not too shabby. Outplayed, well, he's in trouble. This is going to be everyone diving onto the Gwen here, and there's not much she can do. Dead Orino, Pogaccino is what comes out of that. Ghostwing now looking like a potential target, but no, Hammy's team going to play things safe. Instead of going two-hand, they are going to allow that Ghostwing to stay a little bit longer.
They actually just split their pressure here. They've left a couple of people in the bot lane to deal with Ghostwing, and they've put Rock, Bomber, and Hammy back towards the mid lane to deal with that. Now, Rock can head towards the top lane. 10 seconds, he's going to have that ultimate. So that's one of the beautiful things about Yates. He's able to have cross-map pressure just from the fact that he has a global ultimate that allows him to dive into the front at any given time. Archaic does have to be careful here.
Yep, he gets ruined up, he gets stunned up, he gets taken on down. And here comes Rock Bomber with the Iron Mandate, trying to turn this fight around. Can Evo hold them all off is the question. Hammy and Luluzio definitely provide a bit of trouble, but the rest of Evo's team is here, and they're not going to go too deep. Team Hammy, they're scared of the damage that Outplay will bring. That's just going to turn things around. So with that catch onto Archaic, this is a fairly free Ghostwing, and it's just spelling closer and closer to the disaster that Team Evo's team wants to bring to Hammy.
I'm a little confused as to why Lulu backed off there. A lot of the CC had been used, and she was dealing insane damage to Cos on the front line. I actually think they could have committed it just a little bit harder in that situation, and they might have been able to come away with a really powerful team. Do understand the need to be careful. You don't want to throw, but I think there was cause to allow Luluzio a bit more freedom in that fight, and I think he could have been just a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I definitely know that Lilu, at this moment, is just trying his best to get the gold, to find that breaking point, get it online so that they really do have that sustained ramp up in a fight that Lulu's kinetic can bring at this point. But time is not necessarily an ally of the side of Team Hammy. Yeah, if they can hold off Evo's team, then sure, but it's not something that they can essentially rely on. As soon as Evo's team wants to, they can move on in with that Finn, lay down the Force Accord. Here it comes, in fact. They want this. That's going to be the Gauntlet to try and split it up. Great Crucible does block up the Force Accord. Jules' ultimate, though, doing a lot of damage there. The big red button thrown out. And now, potentially with the Fountain already burnt, Black Claw could be a bait for a further fight if Team Evo want it. They start up the Black Claw. They pull in the Adagio. Look at the damage coming out. That is one kill already for them. Looks like Team Hammy wants his mid lane tower, but can they get out alive is the question. Luluzio, the main target of Chuck, and he is isolated. He's going to get taken on down. He's not even going to be able to trade a kill. All three of these members trying to escape. Team Hammy has to try and get back to base. It looks like they're going to be able to. Great usage of the Fog of War to escape. But it does mean Black Claw once more will be taken by Evo.
Yeah, I just feel like Shamu, he used that Fountain very early on there. I don't think anyone was going to go down to that Dual Ultimate, but it meant that the Fountain and Crucible advantage lied heavily with Evo, and when you have that kind of item advantage in a team, you want to make sure you abuse it. I'm not really sure what Archaic and Hammy are doing here.
They're going ham. Let's see if they can get it. Rock Bomber's coming in to try and provide. Archaic's pretty low already. Can Hammy lay down the damage? Nah, doesn't seem likely. That's going to be a dead Arden and a Black Claw pushing on into the base. Seems like it's curtains for Team Hammy here as Team Evo move on in. The stun lands onto Shamu. Rock Bomber trying to be the front line that his team needs, but he's just going down. Evo pulls everyone in. That's going to be Luluzio, not where he wants to be. Hammy goes down as well. Only Shamu left alive, not for long. Double kill comes through for Chuck, the ace, and the game for Team Evo.
Finn, 100% win rate right now. He is just the most broken hero in Vainglory. And unfortunately, Hammy's team can't get the job done. A bit more of a dominant victory, although ultimately a similar time frame. But it looked very, very, very much more in the favor of the side of Evo, and they pick up their win here.
Absolutely, dude. That is going to be a point going over to Team Evo here. He's able to bring his team to victory with those Finn plays.
What a phenomenal performance coming out from Team Evo, the dark horses in this tournament, and absolutely showing that they are here to make a statement.
Absolutely. And, like, we call this team a dark horse, but it's like you only put that title onto a team when you know that there's a good chance that they might have a breakout. And Evil just broke out over there. I mean, not only did they individually play well, they executed as a team to a T. I really liked the draft that they had in this matchup. Like we mentioned earlier, like while the draft was going on, they had a stun on every single hero. And there was just too much to block there. Like they were literally just being overwhelmed.
Yeah, and you could see on Hammy's face there when we just went on the player cams, very serious, very concerned. Moving
when I see a sad Hammy face, I look away. I can't.
Can't bear it. Pulls at the
cuts
heartstrings.
me in the heart, man.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at where we are at the end of game number 2 there as we move forward in the tournament. Evil now going to have a point on the board, and Hammy and Gabe Bizzle going to both be on 0 points, which when we were coming into the tournament, both Hammy and Gabe Bizzle were 2 of the guys that were touted as favorites. The fan vote went the way of Gabe.
Yeah.
Humanist, what's been happening?
Well, I mean, let's be real here. Like, obviously, there was a good chance that Evil's squad can go up against any of these teams and do well. But Hammy did have to make a substitute here in this game, and I think that made a big difference. Not only, like, did we talk about that before the game started, I think Gabe mentioned it as well. He was like, I think, like, literally, that's going to make a big difference in this game. It totally changes their playstyle.
Yeah, especially if, I mean, Hammy, I'm sure you have something to say on that matter. The fact that Yugi wasn't able to play.
Yeah, unfortunately, Yugi was asleep, so he showed up right as we were in draft.
Not because of a Samuel.
Yeah, and the timing was just not optimal. Also, like, you've also seen had a really strong draft, so we wanted to take away picks from Chuck that ended up playing that he had the pick that I kind of wanted to go with, and then the Lorelei, and we ended up just banning a lot of my picks away. So then it ended up putting me on a queue I'm not as comfortable on. So yeah, I think we just messed up draft. Also, Yugi's gone, so Rock Bombers are one trick, so you can't really top too well.
All right, we'll just lay this on Rock Bomber.
No, Rock Bomber's awesome.
Somebody's got to take the heat.
So
right?
on the other side of the board, though, Evil, congratulations on the win.
Yeah.
We've been touting you as the dark horse, but that was a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my team. It does suck that Hammy did have to play with a sub because Yugi is like ridiculous. Like I was actually so excited that we didn't have to play against Yugi. But yeah, it was still a really good match. It was very fun. It's really nice to be being able to play at this level again. So it's really cool.
Did that change like the way you wanted to draft going into the game, knowing that Yugi wasn't going to be there?
No, I think the best thing to do is not really focus more on like denying a certain person unless they're gonna like completely hard carry. It's more along the lines of just making sure that you have a really good team comp yourself and focus on your own picks rather than trying to ban out somebody.
I noticed anybody that watched that match had to have noticed like if there were like 2 to 3 man pulls into impales happening over and over again. We obviously, like, if you guys were in the studio, you would have heard. I mean, you couldn't hear, you had your headphones on, but like Evil, you were very clear, like in your shot calling, you were saying like pool's almost ready, or I've got pool, or I'm going to pool.
Yeah.
Do you communicate with your other like follow up stuns? To make sure that they're ready, like to make sure there's an impale to follow?
Yeah, the best thing that you can do when you're playing a team-based game is to really, really be adamant on your communication. Like every single time I was trading with Chuck, we're like, okay, like his dark form's down, we need to go in, and we only went in when I was using my polite company. So it's really good to make sure that you know when you're going to be like using your abilities because it makes the team fights a lot easier. And also, when you're taking objectives, it's really important to call out what you're going to do if they show up. So that way you are already on the same page.
Yeah, communication is going to be key. And Hammy, so you mentioned Yugi woke up during the draft. So moving on to your next game, you're going to be staying here on the desk and going up against Gabe Bizzle next.
Yep.
You both so far don't have a point on the board. So this is your opportunity to tie yourself up with everyone else. Is Yugi going to be back to be in the squad? Is this going to change your fortune?
Yeah, Yugi's going to be back, and we're just going to, me and Evil are going to meet again in the finals, and this time we'll have Yugi, so.
Looking for the revenge story, okay. Well, we'll see if that's going to happen, but I want to remind you guys that we have giveaways going on across the course of the weekend. There's one happening right now in the Twitch chat. We're giving away a $100 gift card. All you have to do is take your eyes over, take a look at that Twitch chat, type !giveaway, and you can win yourself $100. And we have a whole bunch of other giveaways happening across the course of not just this weekend, not just today, but across the whole tournament. We're going to be back on the 17th and 18th, and there will be more of this happening. 25,000 ice every single weekend, $500, and also a whole bunch of Vainglory swag. We're giving away scarf plushies, minion plushies, t-shirts, bags. I think stickers too. There is all sorts going on. Make sure you guys at home are getting involved.
Yeah, get involved. I mean, I don't have a chance to win because I try to stay away from Twitch chat myself. Can get toxic from time to time. But, you know, obviously that's some really cool prizes to be winning there. Like, no matter which one you get, like, if you get, like, a swag, you get the plushie, that's awesome. You get $100 cash money, that's awesome. Or 5,000 ice. I mean, like, who's not going to take that?
Yeah, there is no downside to getting into the competition. We're going to be jumping on into our third series very shortly, but first, a quick word from Razor. All right, we are back and we're jumping into game number 3 now. It's Hammy up against Gabe Vizzle. So we're going to have Gabe joining us on the desk. And I want to talk quickly about Gabe Vizzle as a player, your history, because, you know, you've been around the scene a very long time. And I remember my very first Vainglory event back in London, 2017. You were on Cloud9 raising that trophy, crowning yourself as a champion. Coming into this tournament, you started off with a loss. What's the plan here to get things back on track?
So I think the main thing is I can't have myself playing another role that's kind of just troll. We're trolling at that point, right? So I think what I want to do is move Shaded onto the bench. Nothing against him. I just think that me playing a support carry, I'll understand what to do around the map. Because as a jungler, I was like, okay, guys, just tell me what to do. And they're just like trying to tell me, but it doesn't work like that, right? You have to know your role. So yeah, I'm bringing in Level. So Level is going to be playing top lane. PBJ is going to be playing jungle, and I'll be supporting. So we're going to try that out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's the game plan so far.
All right, so switching things up coming into this next game. So obviously we are joined on the desk by our captains. You'll see Hammy has moved sides to the desk. That's because Hammy is going to be on the A side.
I thought it's because he just didn't like me over
here.
here.
Yeah, we didn't forget about you, don't worry. Let's take a look at Hammy's profile as well, because Hammy, definitely not a stranger to glory himself. One of the very best players in 5v5 during the preseason, and also managed to win out week 1 of this very tournament. So obviously, game didn't go so hot for you just now. Yeah. Are you ready to get back on that horse?
Yeah, like for sure. I mean, now that we have Yugi, you know, we also have a better draft plan, you know, so I'm feeling good. Like, we'll win 100%.
Did you really feel like, because like based off your strategy, you know, and we talked about this, and I don't want to like go into this over and over and over, but I think it's worth like actually mentioning, like, your plan was, you know, get these guys that can win their lanes. I don't want to focus on that. Yeah. Did you feel like that was really taking in, almost to like the same point you made, like it takes your focus away from what you need to work on? Did you feel that in the game?
I mean, I feel like, you know, I was more worried about just having a bad draft. That was my main concern last game, because I was put on a hero I'm not especially comfortable with. Because I think my strategy in the draft was, it ended up just biting me like in the end, because I wanted to, you know, take picks away from Chuck, but then it ended up taking the picks that I wanted. So then you know, it was kind of just a, you know, rookie mistake. But you know,
the self-counter strategy.
I think like getting Chuck on your squad is like the secret sauce to like beating these teams like a little bit, because everybody always seems to like just focus on shutting Chuck down.
I think Chuck has this aura of like tilt that he puts on everyone
else.
Like,
he does like plus
the way he walks around is tilting. Like.
All right, I do want to talk about as well the Yates pick, because both of you guys locked in a Yates in your first game. It didn't work out so well. Talk to me about what the win condition is for Yates. Like, is there something that went wrong in those games that stopped him activating the way he should?
I wouldn't say that there's anything that was really wrong with the Yates pick. The whole point of a Yates pick is to help out your early game, right? Because he has that pull besides like a level 6 Finn who will have a pull, right? So it's more of just like catching out people in the early game and trying to get a lead off of that. If that doesn't work, then probably you're gonna have some bad late game team fights or whatever, right? It's more of a stepping stone into getting more gold and a lead for your team.
You've got to get that ball rolling early, and he's the tool to make that happen. Well, let's take a look at the lineups we're going to have coming on into game number 3 here. Hammy, we'll start with your squad. You're going to have Yugi stepping back on into the fold. Talk me through the roles you're going to be setting out here.
All right, so, Yugi's going to obviously be playing top lane, that annoying role, just wandering around, Archaic in the jungle, me and Shamu mid lane, and then Lulu in bot.
All right, so that's going to be the lay of the land for Hammy's squad, but over on the other side, we've got Gabe Bizzle stepping on forward again. You've already mentioned it briefly. Shaded Talon being benched for game number 2 here.
Yeah, so I'll be playing mid with TiVo, not like mid lane, but I'll be supporting TiVo there. And then we'll have Skull in bot, we'll have Level in top lane, and then Papa John into our jungle, and see how we do. So yeah, excited.
Well, I think that's going to work out pretty well for you. I mean, obviously, like when you guys were drafting your roster yesterday, you were talking about Shaded Talent. Like, it was your idea to take it away from everybody else initially, and then like the segue was like, well, maybe we'll put him into the Catherine role. I kind of changed up my thing, and you feel like that's going to work here.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking yesterday, it was more of like my game plan. I was like, okay, this could work, but it kind of backfired as well. I definitely should have picked a top laner just so that role's already finished. And top lane it's a difficult role because when you have a bot laner and a jungle just pushing at your turret, like there's really nothing you can do, right? So. Well,
I know what I do. Die.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens, honestly.
I just need the lane. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much happens. So, yeah, Shaded's gonna go on the bench. We'll just see how this game goes.
Cool. Well, I mean, you probably feeling pretty spicy coming in this. You have Yugi.
Yeah, I mean, also like Shaded was talking some crap before the game, like he's not even in, so obviously he didn't make the cut there. I think he should stick to starting, in the match before talking smack. That's all I gotta say.
Right,
a little fire coming out of him.
Absolutely. And don't forget, you guys at home, if you want to be replacing Shaded Talent in these rosters, you guys can sign up already. Make sure to head over at Vainglory Esport on Twitter. You can join us for Tribe Week. November the 17th and 18th is where Tribe Gaming are going to be joining us here in the studio, and you can be one of those top 24 players that they have to draft from. But more specifically, out of those Tribe guys, we're talking about Gabe Bizzle right now, because
I'm gonna read all your
ready to jump on into game number 3. And well, this one is actually a bit of a doozy, Humanist, because both of these guys now have a loss on the board, which means this game becomes very important. This game is life or death when it comes to the round robin.
I mean, there are a couple ways that this can affect the player. Like sometimes you have those players with that mentality of like, okay, you know what? My back's against the wall. Maybe I made like that kind of troll rotation, or like there was that crystal treant that I shouldn't have gone for and I ended up dying. Like I'm gonna tighten things up here, right? I'm just gonna play my A game where like kind of I was a little loose in the first game. Then you have that mentality of the other players who are like, and I think everybody's kind of experienced this a little bit, where like now the pressure's on and you're kind of like, you're like sweaty, like you're trying super hard, but at the same time you can almost psych yourself out. And so like you end up like not making a plays, or you hesitate. And honestly, when it comes to like the highest level of play, I think all professional players and top level players can really state like you get 2 players of the same caliber, right? And they're totally equal players. The guy who does not hesitate will come out on top 9 times out of 10.
You've got to play confident. One player we know for playing confident that is going to be stepping on back into Hammy's roster is Yugi. Now, this guy obviously was asleep for game 1, so missed the boat on that one. But definitely going to be a guy to watch coming into game 2.
I think, Vainglory has more professional players that end up sleeping through matches than anything else I've ever heard in my life. But these guys, I mean, obviously, he's back now, so that's all that matters. But Yugi XD, we'll see what he can get done here today. I'm really excited to have him in the lineup. But, I think it's really interesting, Munch, is that on both sides, you have kind of like this centering of the mentality of both captains, because the way they described it, both of these captains, like Gabe and Hammy, they weren't as focused on what they wanted to achieve as they were kind of like trying to deal with everything on the map. Like Gabe was in the jungle, so then he didn't know how to lead from that position. Hammy, he had a different player in than he expected, so now he's kind of worrying about getting this guy into the right position. Now that they have these rosters that they want in this game, it should be a little bit more of just like back to the basics. Like now I get to just do what I know I'm good at.
A bit of a reset for both of them.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting because these were the two rosters that were coming in today with the most practice. You would have expected these guys to be the ones that already had all of those I's dotted and T's crossed.
Yeah, I mean, you really would have expected, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. I really, truly am. I think this could go completely either way. I think I do lean towards Hammy squad a little bit more just now because Yugi's back in, and not because of, I guess it is because of Yugi, but I don't think it's because like Yugi carries the whole team. That's not the reason. It's because Yugi fits into the lineup that Hammy's drafted.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we talk about Yugi, we heard it all the way through yesterday's draft. Speaking of the draft, we are going on into it, but we heard everybody talking about Yugi saying he loves to split push. And the thing about split pushing is you got to be ahead. So this early game is going to be very important.
Well, you don't. The thing is, you don't have to be ahead, but it sure helps. The thing is, like when you're split pushing, the best split pushers in the world. It doesn't matter like what MOBA we're talking about. The best split pushers in the world have the best game sense in the world. They can read and they know timings. They know when waves are coming, what that wave by itself can get done, how much people in the other lane, how fast they can push, and then they're going to decide, I'm going to go ahead and split away or not. But of course, it's going to help like when you have someone on the other side of the map that can apply the pressure. That's where you're going to get the most stun. So they would have to lean into that draft a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have Hammy locking in that Lorelei. That's what he was talking about in the previous game, saying that Chuck managed to pick that away from him. This time he's got that comfort pick for himself. So you expect a lot more comfort in that mid lane for Hammy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of awkward talking about the Lorelei in that draft that you were talking about before because, well, Hammy didn't get it, but he was the one that before the tournament started today, he was the one talking about how effective Lorelei is in almost every position. One of the most versatile flex picks that you can get there, and obviously, as you mentioned, the one that he wanted to be playing himself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth mentioning the bans as well. We've got Hammy's side banning away captains. Churnwalker and Finn both taken off of the board there. But then on the other side, Gabe Vizzle, they're banning the Anchor and then also banning Silvernail, who Silvernail, I was hoping we'd see a bunch of, but we've seen bans across the board so far today because, you know, these weapon power carries are just so strong right now.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, obviously, like, it would have been a strong pick. I think it kind of negates some of the mobility that Gabe Vizzle's already picked up off the bat. Like, you don't want to, like, have stakes down and suddenly, like, you're trying to blood for blood in or Vanguard onto someone. That can disrupt like everything that you're trying to do. But as I'm looking at this draft come together, I'm saying Gabe Vizzle, this is a really strong draft. Like they've got the Arden over here, which I think is one of the most strong power picks you can grab right now. Your Maline obviously is going to provide you burst damage, will do well in the lane as you start to get like your first core item up and running. Kinetic will carry the game for you. We'll see what they're going to do with this Adagio, of course, and now that's a full draft coming in. Was that the Vox last pick on the side of Team Hammy?
Vox for Lulu Ziu. We saw Lulu Ziu on the Kinetic in his first game of the day, and he didn't actually snowball that hard, but in terms of how well he was playing individually, he was winning 1v1s, he was making things happen, so I'm excited to see that Vox.
Hammy's going to be the last pick. Celeste, he is, oh, sorry. We got Jewel does come in at the end, but I just thought it was interesting to see that Hammy did go with the Celeste in the end and gave Channel over that Lorelei.
Yeah, so Lorelei going to be going into the captain role, and you can see Gabe Vizzle. Tryhard face is on. It's time to get into the game for him. And
can we get like the tryhard face like ping in game? Like that'd be dope.
I would love to see that. Maybe we can get it as an emote in the Twitch.
Yeah, like
chat.
when someone's just sweating super hard against you in the lane, and you can just ping the tryhard. Like, come on, dude, calm down.
Yeah, but I'd love to ping that. I'm a bit of a rage pinger myself. So
are you?
I'd love a couple of.
That's one of my favorite pro teams of all time too. Rage pingers. Oh man,
that's old school.
First jersey I ever bought.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even know they had jerseys available for purchase.
Spring 2016, they were down in LA.
That's before my time.
Yeah,
it was. That's way back in the day.
That's what I'm here. I'm the historian, you know?
You absolutely are. Well, we're getting ready. You can see Hammy smile on his face, so maybe this could be a fresh start for him. It's like about time that we head on to Sovereign's Rise, though. We're heading on into Gabe Vizzle going up against Hammy, both with a loss on the board. This is everything for them. I'm kicking it off with Excoundrel and Dowsy once again.
All right, game 3 on to the rise here. Team Hammy and Team Gabe Vizzle looking to get their point on the board, but only one can do it here. We'll have to see who's able to find it. Team Hammy, though, having Yugi coming on to the squad. He should have been there in game 1, wasn't quite there. Now maybe he can be the difference maker for Hami's team.
Yeah, they're running with a very, I would say like a 3.6 composition here. You've got the Vox, you've got the Reza, the Lorelei, the Lance, and the Celeste coming through. Now, Celeste is still very strong on this update. She's one of the strong CP carries that you can have in the mid lane. And we've got Hami piloting it. So this should be a good Celeste game for him. Obviously, very late game scaling coming out from the side of Hami's squad. And you also had the Reza, who's likely going to be going weapon power in the side lane here. I'm very interested that we are just seeing the weapon power Reza than CP Reza overall. I think it just must be stronger than I originally thought. But regardless, Yugi is the guy that's piloting it, which obviously, as we know, Yugi a very, very strong Reza player.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know who Yugi XD is, this guy was the Idris one trick when Idris was considered weak. Oh my goodness, first blood. Hami just goes down. Was not looking at the mid lane. Was not expecting it. Just not a great start for Team Hami. Tivo going to be pretty happy with getting those gold into his system. But I mean, let's talk about Yugi for a second. When Idris was considered weak, Yugi XD was one-tricking it in Vainglorious Gold NA. And then when Reza came out, he was one-tricking Reza at that high-level NA solo queue as well. And now that Reza is considered better in the weapon power, I mean, Yugi's Reza has just got even more scary. So this guy, when he gets his hands on either Idris or Reza, he kind of just dominates.
Yeah, he is going to be in that tough 2v1 matchup that often occurs in the top side of the map, though, so he will be maybe a little bit starved, a little bit resourceless. He's also going up against an Arden, who is an Arden jungle paired with a Kinetic. That's a very abusive lane to play against, so I imagine Yugi's growth in this game is going to be slightly stunted. Interesting that we saw Hami go down for first blood in the mid lane. Hami was just a little bit careless with his positioning, heading back from that blue side jungle of the enemy area. And unfortunately, that was a really good capitalization by Gabe Bizzle just to walk in there, slow him down with the Gift of Fire, and Tivo able to follow up. Hami just a little bit careless. Wait a second.
Okay, look at that. They get their own back, taking down Tivo. Great game coming through from Arcade. They're really just providing the pressure with that weapon power lens jungle. That's exactly what Team Hami needed to get themselves back on track in that mid lane.
Yeah, they should be able to get the doubles now, also be able to exit with the CP buff too, so that is a really good turnaround, a nice gank. This is kind of what the jungle role does now. They hang around bot and they sometimes roam mid to try and find a gank, and then they're mainly there to control the enemy blue side jungle. It's kind of your role as a jungler at this point in time, and Lance is very good at making those roams to the mid lane and just coming away with some kind of gank, some kind of kill, and Archaic manages to pull it off just there.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's nice to see that Gabe Bizzle's back on that captain role. I mean, he had fun on top. Wasn't really what was necessary for his team. You think Gabe Bizzle, yes, he's a talented mechanical player, can play every role very well, but it's his captaining ability that really makes the difference here. And that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to be piloting them from the captain position.
He was technically jungle in the previous game, as he was playing the Lance Joe with Old School in the top side of the map, which is technically their bottom side of the map, so he was technically jungle on that Lance. Again, I think that was more because the Lance was picked, and we know that Gabe has got a very good Lance, that he was kind of shuffled into that role. But like we said, he is much more confident, much more able in that captain position, and he's on one of his best captains as well in the form of that Adagio. Old School and Papa John managed to get that turret away from Yugi. This now relieves just a little bit of pressure from Yugi, but it will open up that side of the map around Blacklaw. Not as useful when you're on that side of the map, because really you want to get that control around Ghostwing in the early game. However, still very good now to allow those rotations to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Yugi was never going to be able to hold that turret forever. It's just impossible as a Reza against an Arden who has just so much base damage in the early levels against the Kinetic who's got that range as well. Now he has a little bit more freedom, I suppose, to roam around the map, get the experience in gold to share it from those jungles, and then get the gold from the lane as it crashes on in. But it also means that Old School has been enabled to grow as well in this Kinetic. If there's no pressure towards a Kinetic, then she's going to have a very easy in route towards that late game where she has so much damage.
Yeah, and you can see Old School going for the Serpent's Mask build here as well.
In bot lane level, goes in for the engage onto Lulu. Gabe Bizzle's there with the fountain. They want this fight, but level 6 comes through for Lulu, keeping him nice and strong. And I guess at this point, level's not really in position. Shamu is moving down towards this bot side to try and provide the pressure. They've got the lane, and they've got potentially an ability to take down this turret. We'll have to see if they do commit. Doesn't seem likely, though. considering it is just that captain minion. At this time, though, good rotations coming out of Gabe Bizzle, knows where he has to be.
Really interesting. I want to talk a little bit about these bot lane builds that we are starting to see open up here. Lulu and Old School going with something more like the Serpent's Mask into Bonesaw, which is what I envision both of them seem to be working towards. That is a build that has only just started to come through. This is the first time that we've seen it in this current meta, that they're not using the tension bow as we
Gabe
see a
Bizzle's
catch
just
onto
fully
Gabe.
caught out here. Yeah, there's nothing he can do about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, Level unable to save him. Did have the big red button, might have been able to force people away, but not much CP behind that duel at this point in time. Wonder if Level's just going to use that to clear the wave.
I mean, at this point, it might be worthwhile. Not even going to do that. Let the tower go down. Old School does move his way in, and that's going to be Archaic. Dead to all rights. Nothing a little lens can do against that kinetic, and you really don't want to be feeding her either. It's a kill going her way. A lot of gold in the bank for Old School here. Tivo's Maline.
Yes.
Wonder what he can do with that.
He's got the Dragon's Eye first, which is an interesting pickup for me. I often don't think Dragon's Eye is the best pickup on Maline because you're often more about your burst and less about the consistent sustained damage in fights. The rotation from Old School down to the bot lane does mean that we get a... Oh, it's a steal! What a steal coming out from Hammy. That is a big, big win for Hammy's team, simply because Old School rotated bot. That gave up that top lane tower over to Yugi, that gave him loads of free farm. The only reason Old School rotated down was to get pressure around that Ghost Wing, and Hammy stealing it is a massive blow, and that entire minute and a half setup that we just had for Ghost Wing goes down the drain.
And Yugi, the pressure he's putting onto this top tower means that people have to rotate up to stop that from going down. Now this mid lane's under pressure as well. The tables have turned immensely, and it looks like they're going for a fight. Old School's going to be the target. The root comes through as well from Shamu. Old School goes low, but it's Level. They're going to focus down. This Jewel going to go down. Here comes the rest of Team Gabe Bizzle from the flank. Can they get anything is the question. Yuki commits to the fight, and that may have been ill-advised. Rooted in towards that gauntlet. That's going to be Yugi stunned and taken on out. Gabe Bizzle sets this one up perfectly. Archaic next to 4, and Shamu going to boots away. But the split pressure coming out of the side of Hammy. Mid and tier 2 bot lane looking pretty low.
Yeah, actually, that was a good turnaround for Hammy's team. Lulu Ziu going for the Poison Shift build for Vox. So, very classic Vox build coming out here.
Hammy's going ham. He wants Tivo. Can't quite find it. Tivo able to go into his invulnerability state. Now it is just going to be him wave clearing under tower.
Hammy should be able to get this, though. A rotation from Old School and Papa John might mean that they save this mid lane tier 1, but it looks very unlikely as Luluzio makes his way over. So again, more structures now. 3 turrets in favor of Hammy's team that builds up a 3k gold lead across the board. And Dowsy, we should reflect on some of the items that we're seeing come out. Luluzio going for the Poison Shiv Sorrow Blade build. Wondering if he's just going to go for a classic Vox build that builds into a breaking point, or whether we see him pick up a tension bow for his particular build path as well. And it looks like Old School is actually going for a Spell Sword Serpent's Mask kinetic build, which I guess gets followed up with some kind of attack speed item like a Bonesaw or a breaking point.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you can spam your B, get those stuns going down with your A, it's not too shabby. I'll have to see how that does play out. A bit of CC towards the kinetic, which provides Old School that, I guess, mobility as well as lockdown to really just lay down the damage. Tivo as well has the lockdown. You got that gauntlet coming through from the Arden as well, and Level to be able to just kind of just wail down with a big red button and lay down constant burst damage. At this point, Gabe Bizzle's team needs to find some openings here. They're not out of the count just yet, but things do seem to be snowballing in the favor of Team Hammy. Luluzio is caught out though, and that's going to be him falling in just a second. Doesn't look like that core collapse going to do much there. Looks like everyone else is coming through. Can they get more is the question. Gabe Bizzle gets stunned up, but it's not really meaning anything at this point. I say core collapse, I mean Solar Storm. It's been a while since I played a bit of Celeste myself.
Yugi actually, again, left alone in this top side of the map. Papa John, the one that's trying to protect this top lane turret, as Yugi has to be a little bit careful.
Bit of a fight breaking out around this Ghost Wing. Lots of damage done. Hammy, can he lay down more is the question. Here it comes. He's going in. Solar Storm blows up Old School. That's a 2v4, mind you. And they're winning it. Here comes Yugi. He's going to turn this around in favor of them even more so. Team Hammy's team is just too strong right now. Papa John wants to steal, but he can't find it. Now he has to use the gauntlet to escape. Not really a good usage of that ability, but will snipe away the crystal. Trent from Yugi. Yugi says, I want Gabe Bizzle, but I mean, he's not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Gabe's team really struggling in their first couple of games on the field. And remember, Gabe really needs to win this game to give himself a shot of putting them in the top 2. I kind of looked at this team and I said to Dalsy, I thought that they had one of the strongest chances of getting into the top 2 before we even started, just because of some of the quality players on their roster. But unfortunately, they just haven't been able to settle into the groove. Level not really doing a huge amount on this duel right now, not having the impact in the team fights that he would have wanted. His farm is much further behind than Yugi. Yugi on a 2-item spike, and Level really struggling with just that Spellfire. And Jewel is one of those carries that really just doesn't work that well with just one item. Especially in the CP path, you want to be hitting very hard with that ability, which means you really need a lot of CP to back it up. And unfortunately, Level just too far away from that being a reality right now.
I just love the way that Yugi's played this game so far. In the 2v1 matchup on this Weapon Power Reza, is going to be in a rough spot early game, but he's just playing like a solo queue player, constantly split pushing in mid, and only really coming to team fights when absolutely necessary, giving Hammy's team all the power that they want to make those cross map plays. Now the Ghost Wing is in their favor as well, and they can really start hammering down on these objectives in the base. Look at Lulu just going in on towards this Arden, making sure that the front line for all the side of Team Gabe Bizzle is non-existent. Yuki's just going to solo this Black Claw at this point. His Weapon Power is he's got the sustain from the Serpent's Mask. He doesn't need any help. And whilst he does so, Hammy is just going to take down this mid lane tower whilst Lulu pushes in the bot lane. Macro gameplay on point for Team Hammy, and the rest of the team can rotate towards the half
soloing this.
I know, he's just soloing it. He's been doing it this whole time. So much sustain coming through. It's unreal. I mean, Yuki is the god that is has always played these Weapon Power bruisers like Reza, like Idris.
That's disgusting.
This is why you play Weapon Power Reza, apparently, Scoundrel.
Yeah, that's just disgusting. Why is that a thing? Why is
so?
No, but why is that a thing? What in the world makes that a thing, Dowsy? How could a Reza with 2 items solo Blacklaw? That's a pick going off onto Old School, but Lulu trades his life for it.
Does trade his life. It's going to be TiVo going down. They've locked Papa John against the wall. The CC is there, but the Fountain will keep him alive. Hammy, meanwhile, hammering down this mid lane tower. Yugi hammering down the top lane tower. It is just disastrous for Team Game Bizzle. They are losing on all fronts. And now the Black Claw's onto the armory. And Yugi's going to take down that tower without any hitches. Able to group up with the rest of his team. Armory going to be deleted in just half a second here. And maybe they go for a kill as well. They don't need to. They could just go rotate to the bot and make sure that tower falls as well. There it is. Solar Storm to secure the deal. Arcade doing the work with that minion candied up wave. Papa John will potentially just punish him for an overextension. Shamu comes through. Can actually just lock down Papa John and allow Arcade to escape. So they get their cake and they eat it too, Scoundrel. Everyone backs off. It's just disastrous for Gabe Bizzle.
Yeah, I just don't see many ways to come back from this. The problem with dealing with Yuki in this game, right, is that he's able to split push for the entire game for the simple reason that there is no real solid engage coming out from Gabe, right? If they want to punish Yugi split pushing, the best way to deal with a split pusher, and this is the true for every MOBA game.
Old School? I mean, can you deal with Yugi? No, you can't.
So, the best way to deal with the split push in every MOBA game ever is to have some kind of hard engage to force a 5 versus 4 situation. You have no hard engage, really, apart from the Arden Gauntlet, which is very easy to crucible your way out of if you are on the side of Hammy's team. So there is no way to... I mean, just ignore it right now. This game's pretty much over. They're inting it. They're just running it down mid. This game's over, right? This game is absolutely done for Gabe's team. There's really no way back, and because there is no way to punish the split push, right? That's what we're talking about. There's no way to punish the split push, and that is just so difficult. You can't punish a Celeste because she's able to wail on you from range for free because there's no way for you to abuse that.
This is unreal. Reza is unreal right now. I mean, he has the sustain of a bruiser, but he has the damage of, I mean, a CP Reza. It's gross. He's playing weapon power. Yugi's pretty much 1v5ing, whilst the rest of his team walks around the map doing objectives at this point. Yugi is unstoppable, and that's going to be bot lane tower taken on down as well. The engage comes through, and it's Hammy putting down the deeps from the back line, and Lulu going in for the damage as well. Looking for old school. Can they get the kill on to this kinetic is the question. It's pretty healthy at this point on the back line. Hammy has to be a little bit careful that he doesn't do overextend too much, because Yugi's gone down in the top side. Worth noting that he bit off more than he could chew against the opposing red forces. Does mean that the rest of his team do have to fall back, don't want to find themselves caught out. But I say that as they do engage onto Archaic, and they take him on down as well. 1-for-1 trade is going to be the Lorelei losing her life. TiVo wants to try and chase on down to Hammy and Luluzio. The rest of his team doing their best to forward through that choke point, but you don't want to walk into too many Helogenesis there. At this point, Gabe Vizzle surviving Scoundrel, living on a prayer.
I'm trying to think of a way that Gabe's team can stay in this game. The problem is they're going to get tore apart in every single lane right now. The fact is that Old School doesn't have any defense. It's going to be very difficult for him to kite back versus Yugi. And Yugi now with a tornado trigger is going to be even more obnoxious to deal with. And the fact, like I said, there is no hard engage to punish a Vox and a Celeste and try and find a way into a fight. And this Black Claw should spell the end of the game.
Yeah, you'd think so. At this point, there's not much that Gabe Vizzle can do to keep his team alive. Black Claw started up by Yugi here. The deeps are real, as the rest of his team is there to take this down as quickly as possible. Solar Storm finds 3 in the mid lane. The rest of Team Gabe Vizzle coming forward, but Shamu is holding off the back forces. And there it is, Black Claw taken, and now they turn the fight towards it. Yugi's going towards the back line, straight onto Old School. That's going to be very disastrous if they lose their connect this quickly. Yugi is being forced back, and Old School chasing them, wanting to find the kills for Hammy. Already taking down this Adagio. Old School chasing Yugi. It's a 1v1. Can Yugi turn it around is the question with this Reza. I think he can. He does. He takes him out, but it is going to be him surviving and sustaining, and the rest of the team's falling. That's it for Gabe Vizzle. It's curtains, as it's only this Arden left alive. Hammy will take him out easily. Everyone's dead. It's an ace, and Team Hammy will find their first point in this All-Stars tournament.
Dalsy, when an item can turn a carry with 0 weapon power ratios into one of the most destructive weapon power carries on the field, you know that that weapon item is broken. That's all I'm going to say about this game.
Ah, man, that was beautiful to watch. I love Yugi's Reza. I love Yugi's Idris. And seeing it here on the All-Star stage is impressive. I mean, there's highlights galore, but I'm sure my Hunchables and listeners wants to break it down. So let's throw it back to them before I break down.
What a ridiculous performance coming out from Team Hammy there. And Hammy himself popping off in that game.
Yeah, he evolved into his Samuel L. Jackson form over there. And I mean, like, do you guys see the cam on this kid over here? Like, honestly, like, he stills the Ghost Wing with a Solar Storm and just is like, business as usual.
Pure focus. Pure focus. And also, let's talk about the fact Yugi XD comes back in and suddenly everything's looking up roses.
I mean, honestly, these guys, this was literally the way that Hammy described how he wanted things to play out. Like, if you guys did get to catch like the entirety of that game, Yugi was doing his thing up in the top lane. On the other side of the map, you had Lulu. And if one, like, they both applied tons of pressure and they played their lanes well. But if one was applying like serious pressure at the moment, you saw there was a moment where Yugi actually he pushed his turret. It was 640 in the game. There was a rotation to mid. Yugi, he stays in his lane, buys a minion candy. Solo pushes the T1 turret and stays there up into the T2. Caused a 4-man rotation from Gabe. And now I'm looking in here, and Lulu, he just stays in his lane. He pushes to the T2. And suddenly it's like, okay, well, we won the fight because we rotated it forward, but now we're at a position like you're reacting constantly, and you're always going to be on the back foot.
It's always difficult to get tempo back. Let's take a look at the scoreboard, though. As Hammy now with a point on the board, we have a 3-way tie here. This next matchup is going to be deciding a lot when it comes to that scoreboard. We're going to be joined on the desk once again by Hammy and Gabe Vizzle. So, Hammy, I'm going to go straight to you on this one. Fresh off of the victory, I guess Yugi was the X factor after all.
Yeah, Yugi's like, he's crazy. He's super good at what he does. You know, like that whole game, whenever they rotate it down to bot, and he just gets in 2 turrets. They don't get anything. I think, honestly, the turning point in that game was, for their kind of winning position, they had to snowball us in order to win that game. And so I got that steal on Ghostwing, and I really think that like stalled, you know, just kind of got rid of their only chance of winning. And, you know, we just got a bunch of turrets and then just won the team fights.
I have to say that steal on Ghostwing, that was a beautiful little bit.
I mean, everybody freaked out like in the studio on that steal. Like, I really, honestly, I didn't see that coming.
No.
It was from your perspective, like, was that a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, I had a reaction too. I was like, oh my God, how did he steal it? Because you didn't have vision on it, right?
That was blind.
Yeah, no, that was definitely the turning point. We definitely needed to get a Ghostwing to try to pressure a little bit more being on the B side again. So it seems like all 3 games, whoever won was on A side, right?
Yeah,
that's about right. Okay, so yeah, I'll be really impressed to see someone win on the B side. It's pretty difficult trying to do anything on there.
And he said you had like the snowball lineup. They knew if they stopped the snowball. Did you feel the same way on that?
Yeah, our comp that we picked was, we picked a Maline in mid lane. So I know that she's not that great late game, so I just wanted to pair it up with an Adagio to just try to help snowball even more. We didn't really get any picks in mid.
I did once. You guys killed me once.
Yeah, right off the bat.
First
Yeah. So that was good, and then that's what really gave us an opportunity to contest the first Ghost, and it was really close, but then it was stolen, and then that was kind of where the game like fell apart.
Yeah.
All right, well, fantastic game to watch at least. There's some awesome team fights going on there, but these guys aren't the only ones that can win here today. We are giving away 5,000 ice in the chat right now. Make sure you're typing !mic giveaway in the Twitch chat. Get involved and you can grab yourself a whole bunch of skins. 5,000 ice, that's a whole lot of Battle Royale rerolls right there.
Like, I'm not good at math, but basically that is a whole lot of rerolls right there.
I'm not good at math.
Yeah, I love Lamp.
We all do. You guys can watch it. We're giving away 25,000 ice each weekend, $500 every weekend, as well as a whole bunch of Vainglory swag. We're giving away plushies, t-shirts, bags, all kinds of goodies. So make sure you're giving away. Make sure you're getting involved in the giveaways. 5,000 ice given away right now in the chat. Get involved.
Give it away now.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
That's a good song. But yeah, so that is going to be the end of our 3rd game of the day, which means we're going to be moving into game 4. But first, a quick word from Razor. Welcome back to the VPL Fantasy All-Stars. We're jumping into game number 4 now between Team Starting and Team Evil, both with a win on the board, looking to try and turn it into 2. Let's start off by talking about yourself, starting all over. You are a player with a storied history in Vainglory, despite your age, starting at a very young age, being dominant ever since. Talk to me a little bit about your story so far.
I actually started playing competitive at like 2016, around January, which I was like about 12 years old at the time. Actually, my Wikipedia on VG says I'm the youngest professional esports, but that's not the case anymore. And from there, I made to the Vainglory Spring Championship as the 8th seed, and from there on, after I made the championship, I was always a pro and considered a top-tier laner.
All right, so all just been climbing ever since. And then on the other side of the board, we've got Evol stepping on forward, a legend within 3v3, and now strutting your stuff in 5v5 as well.
Yeah. 5v5 is extremely fun to play. You could still make the plays that you want to make as a support. So it's actually just really exciting being able to play this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a different style of play, but it has to be said, in your first game of the day, I was incredibly impressed by your mechanics on Finn, because we were talking during that last game, and you were saying, Finn's not a hero you've played a ton of recently, but you could have fooled me.
Yeah. I haven't been playing that much Finn. I actually haven't been playing that much support. I kind of just get on the game and just have a ton of fun with a bunch of friends, and then yeah. So when I got asked to do this, I was like, all right, well maybe I should play a couple games, and so yeah, there I am.
Yeah, well, I think it was the most dominant performance that we've seen of the day. I mean, obviously, like able to put together a victory. You went ham in your lane, and you said, I got to get fed. You did.
Yeah.
You carried the game, right? I see the smile coming out there from starting.
It was easy.
What was easy about it? Talk me through that.
Everything was easy. Like, everything went according to plan, except, Gatsby throwing the top lane. Other than that, everything else was good.
Everything was, I mean, what was the plan? What was the plan that everything went according to?
Me, not dying so much in lane. Like, I always die a lot, but that's just me and my playstyle being a lot aggressive. And,
with a team like Gabe's team, Gabe punishes people who overextend, but that never happened when we were so ahead.
All right, well, let's take a look at the lineups that we're going to see jumping on into game number 4 here. Starting off with you starting all over. Sticking with the same roster that you won with in game number 1. Any kind of transitions here? Everyone sticking to the same roles?
Yeah, I'll be playing mid lane, Dumpy in the jungle, Love Darling as a support, Yappy on the top, and Mixie in the bottom.
All right, fantastic. And then on the other side of the board as well, we're going to have Evol stepping on forward. Talk me through the roles that everyone's going to be stepping into again.
The roles are still going to be pretty much the exact same thing. Cause jungle, Chuck mid, I'm going to be playing support, outplayed XD or Louis Vuitton playing bot lane, and then Yontai playing top.
All right, so I do want to ask you, Evol, coming into this one, you were telling me there's a little bit of beef between you and starting. This feels a little bit like a grudge match, a little bit like a title match, honestly, between you guys.
Yeah, I mean, neither of us want to lose against each other, because if for some reason that we start giving each other banter or throwing shade at each other on Twitter or something, we will throw this down each other's face. So yeah.
Yes. That's what I like to hear. Like, if you take this, is it just like you're the better player?
It's more of if I win this game and then something happens where I have to respond to him like, oh yeah, by the way, just throwing that out there.
By the way, we smoked you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's super cool. And one of the other things I found super interesting is both of your teams, like in your victories, you relied on Finn. That's got to be a contested pick coming into this draft, right?
We'll see.
We'll see. Not going to give anything away. Starting knows. I can see it in his eyes. He knows.
All right, so starting, any final words for Evol before you guys jump onto the map and battle it out?
Good luck, have fun.
Yeah, best of luck.
No well-mannered professional player.
That was way more civil.
He's growing up. He's growing up.
Oh,
all right.
Starting.
I'm going to let you guys get to your desks and get ready for this game. We're going to be kicking things off, but don't forget, you guys at home can get involved in the action yourselves. Head over to Twitter at Vainglory Esport, and you can sign up for Tribe Week. That's going to be coming your way on the 17th and 18th of November. We've got Chuck, Gabe Fizzle, Old School, and T-Tiger's going to be joining us here in the studio as our captains. And as you can imagine, that is going to be an intense matchup. If you can be one of our top 24 players, you can join them on their rosters and maybe net them the win.
I mean, that's going to be super hype. Plan is that I will be play-by-play casting for that weekend, and you just know that these guys are going to come out like super cutthroat on that one, and that's what we really look for, like from the caster perspective.
That one, it's going to be such a hype weekend, and I mean, one of the players that's going to be joining us during Tribe Week is going to be Chuck, and we can take a look at his stats coming into the week as well, because Chuck, he's on Evil Squad, and Evil Squad was kind of, honestly, I feel underrated coming into the tournament, but Chuck himself is the cornerstone of any team.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think, like, obviously everybody likes to rip on Chuck, but that's kind of because Chuck can take it, and he's the guy that, I mean, everybody always is, after ripping on him, if we say, like, let's really dig into this, everybody will always say, well, yeah, Chuck's good at what he does. Like, he really doesn't make a ton of mistakes. I think one of the major criticisms of Chuck is that he doesn't go for those like crazy plays. He's not one that's like if there's a high risk, high reward play, Chuck maybe not going to make that play, but he's going to consistently get farm in the lane. Take if there's a kill opportunity, he's going to take it. If there's a team fight, he's going to be in the right position. So I mean, that's one of the reasons like he's been so successful, I think, for the past few seasons and going into last year. And I would expect like Chuck still to just be that cornerstone of any squad he's on.
And it's interesting as well because when you talk about Chuck in the mid lane like that, the immediate kind of opposite to that playstyle is starting all over, and that's going to be our mid lane matchup. So, I mean, do you expect it to be explosive because of that, or more reserved because Chuck will be too safe?
No, it'll be explosive. And like the thing is like when you're going against starting, well, this is like just perspective from me over here, so I'm not going to quote anybody on this, but I think everybody can understand like a player like starting, while he did say like good luck, have fun, we know that
I was not expecting
we
him to be
know
so
that
polite
like,
there.
his personality is like, look, I'm gonna wreck you, I'm the best player, you're trash. So you want to get in there and you want to kill him, you want to get first blood on him, and then second and third blood. Like, and how teams focus down Chuck, it's not going to affect Chuck the same way that it's going to affect starting.
Absolutely. And well, we are into the draft, and as I said right at the very start, this is an incredibly important matchup for these two teams because they each have a win on the board. Netting yourself 2 wins is almost a guarantee that you'll be in the final. You only get 3 best-of-1 games to prove yourselves here, so this is very much going to be a decider match between Starting and Evil, and I know that they both desperately want to be in that final.
Just to echo what we were talking about, you know, Starting, Evil, I asked them, you know, Finn's going to be a contested pick up here. Obviously, right off the bat, Finn picked up 4 teams starting. Evil did not let us know how he was feeling about that, but he clearly had a plan up his sleeve.
Yeah.
So he lets this Finn go through, like, either Starting's just going to like get this draft that's too strong to deal with, or he's playing right into Evil's hands right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Interestingly, the bans, once again, we see captains versus carries. On the side of Starting, we had Lorelei and Arden banned away, but then on the side of Evil, it was Reza and Anka, so taking those assassins out of the pool.
Yeah, taking the assassins out of the pool, and then on the other side, Lorelei and Arden, and it's not really a surprise in that.
Worth mentioning, Silver now made it through the bans, so we're actually going to see him locked in very early on in the draft. Evil's grabbed that for one of his teammates, so we'll see where that goes, because honestly, it's the kind of pick that we've seen in both top and bottom lane, and obviously top and bottom depends on which side of the map you're on. So I'm curious to see what they do with that pick.
I think it's going to be pretty unique as well. Like you have to imagine that, like, so Finn's this slow moving kind of anchor point for your team. I know I say that over and over. It's like the anchor for your team, but it's the truth. And you fight around this Finn, you rotate around it. Varya probably going to go to Starting all over. Now you're going to have double barrier. He's going to love that. But the thing is that with the Silver now, you're going to be able to predict most likely where that movement's going to come in. It's actually going to do pretty well into the Varya. And the thing about Finn is Finn will be consistently silenced up as he moves through. So like if Finn gets stunned, he gets silenced. He doesn't actually get stunned. And then if he, you know, silence, you're silenced. So it means that like maybe Finn gets into position looking for a stun. Suddenly he's just sitting there and he's waiting for that silence to tick off and you can burst somebody down. So maybe that's a way that we actually see that play out there.
I think it's worth mentioning as well, you know, you mentioned the Varya pick, you mentioned the Finn pick. Both of those were on Starting's lineup in game number 1, and he himself said how much he loves having that Finn to body block. And he can just sit back on the Varya, chain that lightning like a Sith Lord, and just annihilate the enemy team. That's what worked
he
for
was
them in
hitting
game
like
1.
a truck, man. That was nuts. Like when we got into the late game, like he was taking people down like 50% health with like one simple little combo.
That was terrible.
This one trick to win games for Starting.
Top 10 ways to win in Elo. You won't believe number 7. Idris going to be locked in as well as the Yates. Yates has been a curse so far. He's been a curse in these games.
Yeah.
Maybe Starting can break that record.
Nah, they just lost that Yates pick. That's a losing pick right there. No, you know, all seriousness, we'll see how it plays out. I hope it does well. Yul, though, he's going to get the Churnwalker on his side. This is really interesting. They have some kind of AoE damage that they can look to kind of pair up there. And, you know, this is the thing. Evil, this totally makes sense now that he knew the Finn was going to go through. What does well into someone that's going to have people clumped up around him all the time? That Churnwalker, 100%.
It certainly does, but you have to, once again, note the contrast between these two styles. You've got Starting all over, very much playing composition built around himself to protect him. There's a lot of tankiness and a lot of CC there. Other side of the board, pure damage, pure just, we want to win lanes, we want to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm all for the team that goes pure damage, trying to win through just bursting people down. So that's my preferred style.
It's about time we jump on into this one. Game number 4 going to be kicking off here between Starting All Over and Evil. It's time once again to pass it over to Excoundrel and Dowsy to call the action.
It's the midpoint battle for first place here as Team Starting All Over goes up against Team Evo. Whoever wins this one will be getting closer towards that final of this All-Stars event. We're talking about draft a little bit, Scoundrel. It seemed like Evo's team was a little bit uncoordinated, and then the Churnwalker came together.
Yeah, I mean, Silvernail is really strong in this current meta, and the fact that Churnwalker creates so much space, that's not a good start for Evo, though. And starting, we know what he can do on this Varia. I still, in my honest opinion, think Varia is one of the best mid laners on this update, and I think a lot of this composition relies on starting specifically. Chuck will be able to get a lot of space from Evol in this game, though, and Finn will get zoned out just a little bit by the Churnwalker, but overall, I actually think I like Starting's composition a little bit better. It all really depends on how this Silvernail works out for Outplayed, or rather Louis, because I really think that Mixi will have the ability to assassinate him very easily. However, they will have to deal with that duel in teamfights as well, who's also going to be a menace.
I mean, you look at the top lane, on the side of Teams Starting All Over, and Outplayed and Cos have laid down some damage onto this Lance early, giving them a little bit of advantage in that lane. I love Darling struggling a little bit on this Finn to the pressure that Chuck and Evo are throwing out here. That's all that Churnwalker can do. Get those hooks chained up, pull back Starting All Over. There's the core collapse to put down the deeps, and it all is coming through. Evo's churn is pretty scary as well. I mean, you don't necessarily want to let him get that hero because he kind of dominates on it.
I mean, Finn is basically a Churnwalker hook machine. His model is so big, you'd have to be blind to miss a hook onto Finn. And we all know that Evil is a very good Churnwalker, so it's unlikely that he's ever going to miss those free hooks. And that creates the space, because Evil's then just sustaining off the hook that he has attached to Love Darling. Then the second hook comes out for free onto Starting as well. And then that's just basically zoned out by themselves, allowing Chuck to just land those skill shots, land those Heliogenesis, and zone Starting and Love Darling away. Churn is a very, very strong captain in this current meta, and you can see why, putting a lot of pressure early on to Starting right now.
Yeah, we're not clowning around here. Evo's Churnwalker, pretty disgusting. We'll have to see how the teamfights do start to come through. I mean, it's early stages for the game, but already you're starting to see Evo and Chuck laying down some really good combos. There it is again, the core collapse, and Starting All Over is going to be forced back to base here, and you can just damage Love Darling, and that's Deep's going over towards Starting All Over as well, trying to use his dash to escape, but it's not even working out. I mean, Starting All Over is getting 1v1 by Evo, who's just throwing out the chains at this point. It's not even there. In the bot lane, though, Delphi, is he called out? It seems like he may be, because Anil on fire trying to find the kill. Evo and Chuck starting to rotate around, but they don't even need to. Delphi goes down for the first blood, going Koz's way here. And at this very point, Team Evo is on top.
Yeah, I was talking to you in draft, Dowsy, and we said, I was like looking at this composition from Chuck's team, from Evo's team, and I was saying, I don't know if I like it. And then the Churnwalker came out and I said, oh, wait a second, I like it now. I think Churnwalker is a really, really good pick to allow Chuck that space to get farmed up really nicely and then become that monstrous later game Celeste that we know he can be. The Spellfire Clockwork build that seems to be the build of the month right now. Then you build into whatever else you want to after that. Dragon's Eye, Boat Broker Myth, all of them are available options. But at this point in time, it looks really good for Evol's team. And like you said, catching out Delphi, who's trying to rotate out of that bot lane into the mid lane to try and find those picks onto Evil and Chuck, just to try and relieve some pressure for Starting. But if there is a mechanical god that can manage to carry the game in these team fight situations later on down the line, Starting is definitely the one to do so.
On this Varia as well, we already saw it in game 1 of today. Very much able to put his team on his back and lay down that sustained damage. Pretty much untouched. And now, with Mixi coming into the roster and playing this Idris as well, you have some frontline assassination potential, which just gives Starting All Over even more room to maneuver. Really looking forward to seeing how these late game team fights do play out. But first, you do have to get there. That's going to be the Spellfire coming through for Chuck. A lot of damage just unlocked for the Celeste in the mid lane. And now Evil, potentially every hook that he throws out becomes even more devastating.
Yeah, you have to be so careful. The longer that this laning phase extends in a 2v2, the better it is for Evil and Chuck in general. We made a little point about the Mixi pickup of the Idris here. This is actually really good.
He's in trouble.
Oh, yes, they
are. The rotation coming in from mid lane. That's going to be Evo laying down the hooks. That's going to be the kill going the way of Cos. It's a double in the bot lane. Chuck picks one up for himself. The rotation just too crisp.
Yeah, and Mixi tried to get away with his ultimate, but the hook managing to land and pull him out when he jumped out at the back of that ultimate as well. That was so slick. And unfortunately, with starting and Love Darling being on the top side of the map, they weren't able to reciprocate and put pressure onto the Louis, and all they were able to do was go and clear some topside jungle and go to the river shop. So massive advantage being gifted over to Evol's team here. And that's another disadvantage being going through the bot lane. Wait a second.
Starting all over's in trouble. The chain is still connected, so they're just damaging Love Darling to try and lay it down onto Starting All Over. Starting All Over going to start with this Crystal Treant, but here comes Outplayed! He's going to outplay Starting All Over. At least he's going to try. Just has to click on him and auto attack, and there it is. The tap, done. Crystal Treant secured for Chuck. Now they're looking to lay down the damage on Delphi and Love Darling, and they're going to push them under the tower and make sure there's nothing much else to do. Evo's team just looking so crisp in their rotational play, and nothing Starting All Over really can do in that scenario.
No, he just got zoned out by Evo there. Evo also level 6 now too, does have the ultimate unlocked, and that's going to be a problem for starting. This mid lane has been a pain point for Starting All Over his team just because of the inclusion of that Churnwalker. Everybody grouped up around this weapon powered Treant does mean that the ultimate from Varia can come out. It's going to take Chuck pretty low. That might force them away from even trying to do the Ghost Wing as they push Mixi back out of the jungle there. I think one of the things that can happen in these team fights, though, in this situation as this transpires, is that Mixi is going to be very good at putting pressure onto the back line of Evol's team. There isn't really that much protection for the Celeste and the Sylvaner, who are both very low mobility versus that highly mobile, high damage output weapon power Idris. So that is one thing that we do have to look towards as this game goes on. That could be a turning point in the team fight situation. But right now, Evol's team on top.
Yeah, I'm just really interested to see how Mixi kind of navigates the CC field that is a Churnwalker hook, a Silvernails silence, and I guess Cos can lay down the stun as well. If Mixi does kind of avoid all of these little obstacles there, then they're going to be all right. Good Crucible, but Evil does get pulled back. Churnwalker fairly tanky, can throw out those chains and it'll be all right. Pops the boots, they're re-engaging here. Cos goes in for the butter boom, but it misses. That's going to be him going out. If that connected, then potentially would have been a really good team fight. Big red button available for Neon Fire if everyone overextends. Oh my goodness, the fountain being forced. There it is, big red button, but not really good placed, and Chuck gets pulled under the tower. Do they want this though? The Churn hooks. Oh, it's 2 kills! All of a sudden, Starting wants to dive in and turn it around, gets taunted back, finds one, but is going to get stunned on his tower, and that's Curtains. Here comes Gatsby, looking to try and clean things up on this lance, but that's a big whiff and a miss there. Can he land the damage? No, he can't. He's getting CC'd for days. It should just be them turning in. Mixi's here. Cos might be in trouble. Can Mixi commit is the question. I mean, yeah, he should be able to. The root comes through. Cos gets the shield, but it's not enough to survive. Sloppy, but definitely in favor of Team Evil.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit back and forth, but like you said, the majority of the win going over to Evol's team there. Mixi a little bit, I've got to say, a little bit slow on that rotation to mid lane. Maybe if he was there earlier, might have been able to clean up a little bit more, but he'll make do with the 1 kill at the end of the day. And because he spent a little bit of time building up that wave in the bot lane, does end up getting that turret in the bot side of the map too, so that will help even up some of this gold, which actually is not too far apart. Despite the way that this game feels like it's going, actually the gold difference right now is sub 1,000, so that's actually really good for the side of Starting All Over's team. Starting farming really well, despite having a lot of pressure in the mid lane, but most of that farm being gifted over to Mixi, who was about 11 or 12 ahead of his counterpart in the form of Outplayed XD. Neon, ooh, Gatsby, didn't quite go for the Githian wall there. Now finds himself behind enemy territory.
Yeah, he's currently proxy farming the lane. It is going to be Cos moving in to try and lay down the deeps. Neon Fire can provide damage from the side. Another butter boom missed, and oh my goodness, Chuck just finds a solo kill onto Starting All Over. Not a solo kill because Eva was there, but it is a kill going over to Chuck anyways. That mid lane turret goes down. It's going to be Gatsby rolling his way to safety. I don't think Cos can really chase this for much longer. Maybe he wants to. Evol's coming around the corner. That's going to be the blocks. That's going to be the dodge. That's going to be him walking away for now. Neonfire can't really land a big red button from afar. Outplayed under his turret in the bot side, doing okay. Koz really wants this kill. He's thirsty for it. Neonfire's like, I'm helping. It really was just Koz who gets that all by himself. It's just a one piece of you know, a silver lining really for the side of team starting.
I mean, at the end of the day, Koz manages to pull out that kill because Gaspy was greedy. He didn't think that Koz was going to be able to get back round to lane quick enough, and he thought he could clear a wave to prevent it getting to turret so that he wouldn't get dived. But Koz purchased the tier 2 boots, ran straight into the lane and got the kill.
And in the bot lane, that's going to be another kill going the way of the side of Team Evil. This one going over to Outplayed as they find Delphi once more caught out of position. Unfortunately, Delphi not having the game of his life. 0 and 4 on this jungle Yates. Ghostwing started up here. It's a 2-man job. Koz and Outplayed doing the deeps. Neonfire will join on in. Gaspy is going to go over the wall. Mixi's here as well. They might just be able to take out Outplayed, and they do. That's going to be the Solar Storm going through to trade the kill onto Gaspy, but it's just enough at this point to stop the Ghostwing from being done. Potentially a little bit greedy coming up from Team Evo. Crucible blocks the Force Accord, not going to be able to find what they want. Here comes starting over looking for the damage, but zoned by Neonfire. It's backline doubles for Chuck as Mixi goes in, but they've dealt with it. No, it's a 1-for-1. Not a bad trade. Evo goes back on in with the Churn ultimate, and that's starting all over, deleted from the map. Yates trying to do work. Can Delphi clean up the fight is the question. Neonfire and Evo doing the work onto Delphi, and that might just be Delphi. He's only just respawned. Going back to the gray screen. Yeah, he does. 0 and 5. Unlucky Delphi. Oh, it's not a good game for starting all over.
No, starting all over, this team is definitely struggling. Both himself and Delphi have been on the back end of a lot of engages here. Neon actually starting to do some serious DPS. Has gone more of the utility-based build. Gaspy, though, trying to find the 1v1. Neon really just missing every single one of these skill shots. Doesn't have his flask either. This could be an easy kill. There we go. Trade for the solo kill. Unfortunately, Gaspy just able to literally roll around every Thunderstrike ever thrown his way. And because this is a low damage build output, Gaspy was just very happy to tank that up. He's gone for the Frostburn, which means that when he lands an ultimate in a team fight, it's more likely that he's going to land a one that's going to keep people locked in it and therefore deal more damage. But it's not great in the 1v1 games, which is what you just saw Gaspy able to take advantage of right there.
Like this from Mixi. Going to be Tension Bow into Sorrow Blade, into Poison Shiv. Gaspy with a huge engage. Can the rest of the team follow it up is the question. Look at the damage coming through from Chuck. Evil's doing a lot of work. Can Evil survive is the question. Ooh, it's 2 for Chuck. It's going to be a 3rd coming through. Triple kill for Chuck here as 4 lose their life, and starting all over, last man standing runs away for his life. Ghostwing to be started up. Black Claw to be started up as well. Team Evil taking the map.
That was, Dalsy, that was kind of painful to watch. I don't mean it in like a horrible way, but it was like everybody focusing Evo, who had about 5 or 4 hooks attached in that situation, and they were focusing Evo. He was getting huge split damage off because Chuck was just landing huge supernovas on the back line, and that was shared across all of the chains, as well as the healing going over to Evo because of that, and they couldn't even take down the Churnwalker in that situation. That was rough, and Mixi was also trying to deal the damage directly to Churnwalker instead of trying to dive on the backline. Double Frostburn build coming out of this team as well. They really want to slow the pace down. They want to abuse the Finn. Frostburn is very good at abusing Finn in these situations. So they want to abuse Finn. They want to abuse Gaspy. Both of these are quite big, slow targets, and it makes them even slower and makes them big bread targets for a lot of these huge damaging abilities like the Heliogenesis.
I mean, you have 4 melees into a Churnwalker here. The Frostburn is just going to synergize so well against the enemy composition and what you can put out here if you're landing that AoE damage onto everyone. Another Force Accord blocked here. Really good stuff from Evo, on point with those Crucibles. This Black Claw low, but it's definitely contestable. Here it comes, looking for a starting over, though. He's already out of energy here. Might not be the fight you want. Everyone's running away. It looks like everyone's going to lose their life. Yeah, 2 kills go through so quickly. Gaspy trying to run for his life as Delphi. I mean, not much he can do on this Yates. And it's only Neonfire who's really under threat at this point in the bot lane. Mixi might be able to find a kill. They will be able to find it with the ultimate, but it doesn't really mean anything because this Black Claw is still being done. Gaspy, I mean, he's desperate to try and stop it, but there's not much a Lance can do. This should be his death coming through in just a second, and Evo manages to pull him back in for it. Delphi and Yimishi, though, they've teamed up. What can they do is the question as the Black Claw goes down. Not much, I don't think, is Scoundrel.
No, I think Mixi split pushing has both advantages and disadvantages. Mixi fighting that split push versus Neon, he's always going to win that fight 1v1. But if Mixi is not available in team fight situations, there is really very little way to threaten Chuck on the back line and to threaten Louis on this Silver Nail. And that just spells disaster for the 4v4 scenarios. Mixi jumps back in onto Cos here. Cos not letting him back. They want to make the best out of this Black Claw. They know their 4v4 is stronger without Mixi there, and Cos just trying to keep him occupied.
I mean, Love Darling's almost dead. Delphi's trying to pull them into the fight, but look at starting all over, stunned up under his tower and dead. This is Black Claw doing so much damage, and Love Darling, another greedy backport, gets punished and he's dead. Fountain goes out, but it will not keep him alive. Gatsby and Delphi charged with saving the base. Mixi's 1v1ing Cos, and he is going to find it. Neon Fire's there. I mean, Mixi's doing damage, sure, but can he keep the game alive is the question. Finds 2 kills and a 1v2 and stays alive. No, minions take him out. It's all over for the side of Steam, starting all over. Chuck outplayed an Evo with the Black Claw in tail, going to take down this Vein Crystal.
Yeah, that is just the power of Churnwalk into a quadruple melee composition. Starting never had the space to take a win in any of these team fights. This Frostburn on Chuck meant that he was stuck in the chains for so long, Dowsey. Really good composition from the side of Evo.
I mean, just don't give Team Evo Churnwalker. I think that's the lesson learned, and it's something that the rest of everyone else is going to be thinking about in the next coming games. Evo gets their 2nd point, and let's throw it back to Munch and Humanist.
What a game coming out from Evil. He has now qualified himself for our grand final later today. Phenomenal stuff. And honestly, really impressive mechanics across the board. Really impressive team fighting coming out from the squad.
Super impressive. I mean, from the beginning of the day to this point, locking himself in, the first team to lock himself into the finals. And, you know, we called him the dark horse. It was for good reason, though. And they're going to ride it all the way into the finals. I had a couple of notes here, and it's kind of crazy looking at this. Like, I went away from the screen for 2 or 3 minutes, and I came back. It's 6 minutes in. It's 4-0. Starting is somehow in the top lane, running away, and he ends up dying there. It was a 3K net worth advantage 6 minutes in. Like, Evo put the hammer down.
He certainly did. And we got to talk about Chuck there as well, because Chuck had a stellar performance on his Celeste, and no pun intended there, but honestly, bringing down the heavens.
Yeah, you know, Chuck really did have quite a performance there. But, you know, while I'll give Chuck credit, I'm going to go right back over to the captain of this team. Evol, he set him up for victory there. And while Evol was quiet, when we asked him about, you know, what's going to go on with his contested defend pick, obviously the answer was Churnwalker. And there was a moment in the game, 12 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, where Churnwalker gets a couple of hooks out there. Evol able to hook and chain a couple people up. With the Celeste, they just get 4 kills like almost instantly. It was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see the points on the board there. Evol with 2 now, qualifying himself for the final. Gabe Bizzle is officially out of the running, which means our group stage has been shortened slightly. The next game that we'll see will be starting all over, going up against Hammy, as that will be the decider to see who will face Evol in the final. So welcome to the desk once again, gentlemen. Evol, I'm going to kick it over to you straight away. Another fantastic game. Talk to me about how communication was during that one, because you got to be over the moon as you know you qualify for the final.
Yeah. Like I've always been saying, like throughout this entire weekend, is that communication is, if not it's one of the most important aspects to a team game. Like when we were going to the matches, we were explaining what we're doing in fights, what we need to do through rotations, what we're going to do next 5 minutes into the game. Like it's really, really important to have really good communication.
Yeah, well, it was pretty clear. I think it showed for everybody. And starting, you always said, you know, I got to get fed. I got to have that strong lane. Was it the Churn Celeste combo that you had so much trouble with?
It was actually so hard for me to play against Celeste Churn, just because Varia early game was so weak, and we were actually not doing that bad in the early to mid game. And then once, I really don't want to say this, but Ariel internet cut off for 2 minutes. And I got caught in mid, they got mid to it, and from there it was just their game.
Yeah, well, we could definitely see that, and I mean, obviously, from your perspective, you had to have known. Like, I mean, this was. I asked you the question. Like, we knew Finn was going to be contested. That was what you had in mind. Is pick up that turn.
Yeah. It was more of just like understanding that Starting does like playing around Finn because it's like a really safe laner, and it allows him to farm to reach his like utmost potential. And so when we were drafting, we're like, well, Churnwalker's like really good into Finn, and they had like I think they had triple or quadruple melee, and we're just like, if we don't pick Churnwalker, we're trolling. So we took it. And yeah, we just ran off with that.
Well, that was awesome.
Churn or troll. Well, congratulations once again, Evo. You're qualified for the finals now. We have yet another giveaway happening right now in the Twitch chat. Get involved because there is 5,000 ice coming your way! ! Giveaway in the Twitch chat to have your opportunity to win that one for yourselves. Evo now has his opportunity to win in the grand final, but we're going to be giving away a ton more stuff over the course of the rest of today, but also over the next 2 weekends of the VFA as well. 25,000 ice every weekend, $500 every weekend, and a whole bunch of Vainglory plushies, t-shirts, and bags. We're going to be jumping into our last game of the group stage. It'll be starting versus Hammy, but just before that, we're going to go for a word with Razor. Here we are jumping into the final game of our round robin here. Team starting going to be on the A side up against Team Hammy on the B side. We are going to be joined by these guys on the desk as well. This is going to be a battle for the ages. Both teams 0 and 1 so far. I mean, let's kick this conversation off with you starting. Second game didn't go so well. It didn't go as well as the first game. What needs to change moving on into this series to take on Hammy? Because Hammy's been ramping up over the day.
Actually, Evo put some brain cells in my head, and we're going to change up the draft a little bit coming into this game 6.
All right, so Evil's accidentally let something slip. Let's bear in mind, you guys, you're fighting for your spot in the final right now. Hammy, what's the emotions like coming on into a game like this?
You know, like, at this point, I'm not worried. Like, I think we could just pick troll picks and we'll still win. Like, we can pretty much play anything, and I think we'll win this game, you know, now that we got the full roster. You know,
I mean, this is almost like some like Twitter banter here starting. Like, you're not one to take that talk, are you?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. And you talk about switching up the draft. Is that just because like what you've been playing hasn't had success?
I don't. To be honest, like I don't actually play Varia. Just lend out there. But I mean, whatever works. So I'm just trying out stuff, and yeah.
All right, one game to go. So Hammy, talk to me about or in fact, I'm going to start over here with your starting lineup, Mr. Starting. I'm saying a lot of starting right now. Talk me through the roster, because obviously going into game 2, things didn't quite work out, but definitely a solid roster to work with.
Yeah, we'll keep a roster with me playing mid lane, Delphi in the jungle, Eddie and the support role, Gatsby in the top, and Mixie in the bot lane.
All right, then over on the other side of the map, we're gonna have Hammy. Are you still sticking with Yugi in that roster and doing his magic?
Yes, that is the plan.
You're not gonna put Rock Bomber in
Rock
there?
Bomber, you know, he showed his worth, and you know, she's didn't quite make it, you know.
Rip Rock Bomber. We love you, Rock Bomber.
I mean, it's not, he doesn't play top, so you know,
Yeah,
can't be that mad at him. But yeah, you know, feeling good. You know, we're just gonna rock the same thing we did last time, roles wise, and we're just gonna win this game.
I mean, okay, let's be really real, Hamuel. Okay, let's take a moment. Let's focus in on this matchup here. You look this guy in the eyes here, and that's kind of scary. Like he's an intimidating dude. All right.
You know, that's debatable, but
you know, when it comes down to it, starting always says, "I have to get fed. I will carry this game. You know, he says Delphi is like a big key to victory as well.
No, Delphi's been going.
Are you guys gonna go hard on this guy?
Yeah, you know, it doesn't really matter to kind of like, if I just, you know, just barely get the job done in mid, we're gonna win, you know, like regardless. So, and he can't.
That's not an excuse, is it?
Yeah, no.
You're not scared of getting outplayed by starting.
No, like, I mean, I might just, you know, try to help him out, build his confidence a little bit before our whole team destroys him.
Okay.
So if I want to give him a couple early kills, you know, maybe I will, you know? You gotta wait and see.
I feel like you're laying the groundwork there just in case you win, honestly.
I like it, though.
In case I give him a couple of kills. Definitely, I'm excited. I mean, starting. You can't just let him talk to you like that, surely. Like,
I mean, I can't say anything back. I don't play the game as much as I used to. But if I did play, you know, I'll clap him 2-0 like I did Tribe 2 months ago.
I mean, that's pretty easy to say.
I mean, not to mention, I also clap Vision, your current team right now.
Okay, buddy, I wasn't playing.
That's because you were in a team. And when you're not in a team, that means you're bad. And when you're bad, that means you're trash.
Okay, so, but you're not playing right now, though. You haven't been playing, so that makes you trash. Top 3 player, but you can only play 2 picks. Well, Varya, you said you can't play Varya.
Yeah, I'm bad. I know.
Varya, but he did get a win on the Varya. Can't even play the Varya. Got a win earlier today. Plus, it takes some real gumption. I was looking for the right word there. To wear a camo sweater up to the desk. All right, I like that right there.
Okay. I see.
Well, it's been getting a little bit spicy here on the desk. I think it's about time that we kick off the last game of the group stage. This is going to be the decider. I'm going to let you gentlemen head to your desks. And I want to remind you guys at home as well that you can already sign up for week number 3, Tribe Week. Head over to @Vainglory Esport on Twitter, where you can get signed up. You could be one of the top 24 players that is in our roster that these guys will draft from, and you'll play alongside Chuck, Gabe Bizzle, Old School, or T-Tigers.
I mean, I literally didn't hear anything you just said, Munch. I'm still sitting here thinking about the reaction that we just had from these guys. You could cut the tension with a knife right here, right now. Like, honestly, you said it. The winner of this goes to the finals, so this is a super important match. Obviously, not only that, but we have our 2 mid laners over here captaining their teams. So it was super fun to have them kind of back and forth. And like, while like, you know, Hammy got a little serious at the end, he's still lighthearted with it. And I think Starting knows the same. But for Starting right now, like, he knows like, I just have to do really well. And he's also the kind of guy who doesn't, he talks some smack, but he loves to get that win, so then he can talk the smack.
Absolutely. And honestly, it felt like it was getting a little bit personal at the end of that conversation. We'll probably end up revisiting that after this decider. But before we jump on into our draft, we've talked to the captains yesterday about what they love about the Vainglory Fantasy All-Stars.
What's great about this new Fantasy All-Star is that there's new players that are never been heard of before, and they're like, they have more chance of getting known to the competitive scene, and maybe this is their chance.
The Fantasy All-Star format is super good for community because it gives everybody a chance, you know, to get their name out there, to get picked, you know, and if they have a super good game, you know, it can give them exposure and possibly give them other opportunities in the future.
I think this Fantasy's All-Star format is actually probably the best that I can ever think of, because it brings the chance for all of these players that think that they have the chance, or they think that they could do this and they want to compete but they don't know how to. They all they have to do is just apply, and then the captains come. They're like, okay, well, there's only going to be a couple of players that aren't going to make it, but you can still choose all these like new talent, and with the system it just allows for new players to come up and show people what they got.
Yeah, and I think the fact we get to see people that aren't necessarily big names in the pro scene playing alongside each other, but also we get to see those pro teams shaken up a little bit. We get to see who the real mechanical superstars are.
Yeah, we do. You know, even more than just the mechanical superstars for me, Munch, I really like to see the guys that out-mind game their opponent, you know? So, like, kind of like, you know, make you think this is what I'm doing when this is actually the objective, or it feels like a feed, but somehow you've drawn in 3 heroes into your lane, and the real objective is being taken on the other side of the map. So, you know, that's what I like to look for. Obviously, the mechanical outplays is what we love to scream about as casters. I know you have that play-by-play casting experience, and that's what we like to look for.
Deep in my heart, I certainly do. We're getting on into this game. This is going to be the decider to see who will move into our grand finals against Evil. It's either Hammy or Starting all over. Both of them individually have looked fantastic today. Starting falling down in this most recent game, Hammy losing his first game of the day. Both of them, though, having a convincing win on the board. We'll see which one is going to be able to take the W here and move into our finals.
Yeah, you know, I think draft will be important here, but almost more important than that, I really feel like it's how these two guys, like obviously everybody matters, but like the success of these two captains is going to be super important. Like obviously they want to get on some comfort picks here as we do go through the draft, but it feels like, you know, and Hammy really wasn't letting on to it, but it does feel like he's gonna like call in the guns to come towards starting's lane through the early mid game and look to shut him down there.
Yeah, honestly, this mid lane matchup especially feels a little bit personal. The fact that both of these captains are the mid laners kind of levels this whole series up. And honestly, there's a lot of pressure on the captains or on the supports coming on into this game because they're going to be a huge impact in that mid lane matchup as well. Usually you do see that kind of duo mid action. So I mean, you see things like the Churnwalker locked in early, that's definitely a big favor for starting all over.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting, well, he just got wrecked going against that Churnwalker, so he's going to go and pick it up here. But, you know, you do have Love Darling, who's not like typically a support player, and he's going into that role. He's been doing a good job through the day. But you look on the other side, Jemu, like, that's his role. So that's his bread and butter. That's what he's used to. And when it comes down to these important matchups, a lot of times, like, just being comfortable, not hesitating, not having to worry about, like, oh, what is the next item I'm going to pick up here? That's 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there. That's going to add up to just being late into, like, a key rotation at some point in the game, and that can really kind of put your team on tilt.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big things here for Team Hammer is banning away that Finn, stopping that being the first pick for starting, because that has been very much a crutch for starting's lineup. They've been first picking the Finn and building a composition around that.
He must have also asked about the Churnwalker as well, like thinking about that, like, you know, Chamu, is this a hero that you want to play? Because obviously that worked really well for them. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. We do see Adagio come in as this 4th pickup here. It looks like this is pretty good synergy thus far. You have some engage with your Lance. You have Yates who can get around the map. Definitely that mobility. He'll bring some damage to the table. You can control a bit of an area with your Versa Judgment coming out of your Adagio, buff up your allies, and really this is like, not to mention now you have Celeste on the back line, right? And she's gonna do just fine with the heroes that they coupled up thus far.
Yeah, Celeste does okay. I think it's fair to say if she's got a bit of a front line, Celeste will do the damage. You can be damn sure about that. We're gonna have Kinetic locked on in with a Lyra going for starting.
Draft is actually pretty strong. Yeah, Lyra mid. I mean, starting was one of the players that would always pull this pick out, and he played it pretty well. They're also gonna, looks like Delphi's gonna get the Arden. That's a really strong pickup for Delphi there. So
he played the Lyra in the Summer Open when he had to defeat a Celeste. It's fantastic at setting up that hard engage onto the back line. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Hammy's shoulder to be able to survive those engages.
Yeah, like I honestly, I will lean towards starting a team starting for this game on the condition that starting has a good early game. I feel like if his early game not too strong, he dies a couple times or forced off of his farm, missing some last hits. It's definitely going to go to Hammy. But if he farms well through the first few minutes, they secure that good start for him, they're definitely going to take the W.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the big things, honestly, is going to be when these guys hit level 8, Celeste kind of levels up significantly. We'll see if it's going to happen. We're jumping into the last game of our group stage. It's starting up against Hammy. I'm going to pass it once again to Scoundrel and Dowsy to kick off the action.
It's the battle for the finals here. Spicy words have been shared between Team Starting All Over and Team Hammy. It all comes down to this. Who will be joining Evo in the finals? We'll have to find out here at Scoundrel on the stage.
Oh, God, I feel bad for the team that ends up losing. This is starting immediately gets blown up. That's a feels bad, man. That's a real feels bad, man. Especially after those words exchanged before this game. Starting definitely going to be a little bit tilted after this, I think. But he will have to keep things shored up. I don't know if you know the changes to Lyra in particular, Dowsy, but she has had some pretty decent changes to her kit. They've loaded a lot of the damage into the second part of her basic attack and taken some damage away from her Imperial Sigil. But she does hit very hard with that empowered basic attack now.
Yeah, and obviously once you get that alternating current, which is so strong in the meta right now, it makes a lot of sense. Delphi, though, I mean, he's just continuing on from the previous game. That Death Shyhound starting to stack up. It's unfortunate. He does go down in the red side jungle here of the side of Team Hammy. 2-0. Definitely not the start you want when you're trying to get into the final.
No, exactly. And Hammy will... Hey, I don't think starting will want Hammy to leave with the bragging rights after that game. But Delphi definitely not off to a great start. I think he wanted to abuse how much was committed to mid, but it was such an easy rotation back for Archaic and for Hammy in that situation there. Hammy now finds himself back in the mid lane. Delphi's kind of lost, kind of wandering around, stuck in this mid lane with starting, and I'm wondering whether he is going to head down towards that bot lane to help support Mixi on this kinetic. As you can see, Love Darling making his way back towards the mid lane on this Churnwalker.
Yeah, playing the Churnwalker this time, so it's a bit of a switch up really for everyone on the side of Team Starting All Over. Really just mixing up the heroes that they're bringing to the table. Love Darling on that Churn, Starting All Over, trying out this Lyra. I mean, definitely has the potential later on in the game, Scoundrel, to do damage. I have to see it to believe it, though. I mean, Team Hammy on this Celeste, it's just such a powerful hero in this current meta. Yugi, though, on this Yates. I mean, Yugi is known for his one-tricking, really, Scoundrel. So is Yates the new hero that Yugi's going to add to the table? Well, he lands that. The more comes through, and I mean, Delphi's dead again.
Delphi is not having a good time right now. He's kind of lost across the map. Ooh, Mixi does get the steal there, which is actually a pretty big steal for Mixi as Hammy is rotating to the jungle. This is a stranglehold being put down by Hammy's team at this point in time. Mixi now walks straight into that weapon power buff.
I mean, he stole it again, but can he escape? No.
He cannot, and he gifts it straight over to Hammy in that situation.
Oh no,
and this
starting
is tough.
it again. They're all just dying. Love Darling under the tower. I mean, Lulu Zero on this weapon power Sky laying down damage from afar. Hammy and Yugi basically jungling the other side of the jungle. Already, Scoundrel, there's almost a 2,000 gold lead generated by 3.5 minutes. And Gaspy's all alone in the top side. Great Giffian War knocks him back. There's the Impale as well. So another kill going over to the side of Team Hammy, I should say, but they are happy at Scoundrel because this is the start you want. You want a rematch against Evo.
Oh, this is rough for Starting's team. This is not what they would have wanted to open up with. Delphi literally about 3 levels behind, it feels like, compared to everybody else. It's Gaspy who took a pick away from Yugi, struggling in this top lane. Yugi having a pretty great time of it. Mixi also a little bit behind in terms of what he could do. The only thing that I think they can take solace...
Yugi's marched into bot lane. He's kind of just 1v2ing at this point. He's got to clear the wave. I mean, I actually believe Yugi can 1v2. Let's see if he goes for it. Delphi's there, kind of caught out. Shamu's come down for the support. Mixi's laying down damage, but Yugi wants it. Wants to pull Delphi back in for more. The damage coming out, oh, he misses his more. That's actually just going to be death for Yugi, I think. I think Mixi and Delphi should be able to follow this up with a kill. See if Yugi does go down. Shamu's trying to keep him alive. Does so for now, and they trade the damage onto Shamu instead. Sadagio slightly less tanky, but has the flask. So, I mean, if you connect that more, I think you do all right on the 8s, but missing it is such key damage out of your kit.
One of the things that I think you can take solace in, if you are starting all over his team, is that Lulu Ziyu has basically been starving himself of a huge amount of farm in this game. He has been rotating with Hammy, but hasn't really been farming in his lane on the top side of the map. And Mixi himself has generated a large amount of gold by heavily farming. He's 20 CS up on Lulu. Now, Lulu's probably made that up with all the kills, but right now Mixi's actually in a pretty strong position.
Look at this, Lulu. It's Yugi and then Arcade just going in. They want to try and take out this bottom side jungle for themselves. The weapon tree ain't so juicy. A good root comes through onto Mixi, but Love Darling's coming down. Shamu's here for the heals. Yugi pulls in Mixi, going on in. That's going to be the kill going over to Archaic. And now the weapon tree should be able to be secured as well. Starting all over. Doesn't really have the follow-up damage on this Lyra at this point to be able to do much. Weapon tree secured for Archaic. Yugi pulls back Love Darling into the fight. Delphi's here, though, to provide some damage. Not as much, though, as his team needs. And you're all right about Lulu Zio. I mean, if you compare Lulu Zio to Mixi, quite a significant CS differential. But he's got the kills going for him. He's got quite a few items already stacked up. So potentially not as far behind as the CS numbers indicate.
No, and I'm going to be honest, I think Delphi is letting the team down right now, and he has been over the last couple of games as well. Delphi's struggled to know where to be on the map. He's kind of been giving away kills unnecessarily, being overly aggressive, and is now severely behind in experience compared to his counterpart as well. He just needs to shore things up. I think he just needs to support Mixi directly, who I truly believe is likely going to be one of the major carries in this game. I think starting in this situation, I probably would have thrown the gauntlet down. You know, I would have just said, right, I'm playing Ringo mid. I'm literally just going to go in and play. I'm just play Ringo mid. I know that Ringo's got a huge spike with Tension Most Sorrow Blade just because of the attack speed steroid that he gets as well from his own kit. Genuinely think that would have been. I would have just done that if I was starting personally. Because actually, I don't think weapon power mids are that bad at all. Especially with being supported by a captain pretty much the entire game.
Look at this in the mid lane. That's going to be a Soulstorm laid down onto starting all over. This mid lane turret not going to be long for the world. Mixi's here to try and keep it alive. Arcade pulled under. Arcade locked up and dead. Starting all over finds a kill, and here comes the engage from Delphi. They're trying to find more. That's a second going the way of team starting all over. Shamu pulled in. They're going to find the third. And it's only Yugi left alive in the mid lane to walk away from. Huge turnaround for team starting all over.
Yeah, Delphi finally hits level 6, makes a great engage play onto Hammy, who does not have that reflex block available, starting as well, baiting that in, but that was really all Love Darling on the Churn Walker, set that up perfectly to allow the team to find that engage, and Mixi, like we said, on the Sorrow Blade item spike, is quite far ahead because of the farm he's been getting for free in the bot lane. They managed to abuse that in the mid game, and they equal the gold with that Ghost Wing pickup as well.
That's huge. This game is literally starting all over now for the side of starting here. With the gold equalizer and the Ghost Wing now theirs, they can potentially start pushing the gold in their own favor here. Gaspy's holding off Lulu in the top side. That's what the Reza needs to do. If Love Darling can continue making plays on this Churn Walker, pulling him everyone into sigils, then they're not in bad shapes here. It's going to be a tough road, but it's one that they can take, Scoundrel.
Yeah, absolutely. Mixi now working towards a tension bow too. I actually think starting to be so careful starting. Oh my word.
Starless Storm connects, but it's not enough to keep that Churn Walker alive. The heal coming through from the sigil. I didn't think it come through enough. Delphi onto Hammy doing some damage. The Crystal Trance secured by Gaspy, which is nice. For the side of starting all over, some sigil damage goes out. Here comes Yugi, though, onto Mixi, onto Delphi. 4 versus 2, and Delphi gets pulled on in, gets rooted on up, gets taken on down by Hammy. Starting over, has to be careful in this mid lane. Has that right bulwark to try and keep everyone away from him, but can't save the turret as it does get sniped away. And this is what we kind of expected from Team Hammy after their ridiculously good starting Scoundrel. Just domination across the board. They've shown such great macro determination. So far, so good, but I mean, it's not the dominant win that I would expect. I mean, oh my goodness, Gaspy onto Ludo Zero. Here's Yugi, the save, potentially. Man, that's such a cool ultimate coming on in from nowhere. Oh, the snipe comes through from starting all over. Doesn't look like Yugi can keep him alive. Maybe Yugi's in trouble as well. Love Darling going to try and hook him up, pull him back on in. Able to find it. Trying to run away from this Reza, but there's the Churn Walker. Oh, and that should be a kill going Gaspy's way it is. In fact, starting finds it. That's a turret in the top lane gone. Just to re-emphasize the point, really, Hammy's team's not really executing as well as they should be.
No, but I think they got a huge advantage off that mid lane tower take. Starting, went for the blue buff, if you remember, and I just think completely mispositioned. Like, they are literally in the brush over the other side of that blue buff area, and you don't expect them to have vision over there? I don't know, a bit awkward if you ask me. That is going to be a kill for Hammy as they get a pick onto Delphi, who is 1-5 right now, but the rest of the team is doing work. Gaspy now at that 2-item spike, which we can see is so powerful on the Reza, and Love Darling again, just being that monster front line right now. Really strong.
Yeah, it needs to be as well. Solar Storm rips on through from Hammy. Not much healing available to starting all over his team, of course, with this Lyra being a CP mage at this point, really. Not going to be providing the heals that you sometimes see the Lyra do from the captain position. Team Hammy, with the Ghost Wing spawning, might have an objective in sight. So we'll have to see what they do decide to go for. 11 minutes in, just a minute away from that Black Claw joining us as well. We know that Hammy's team has been so good at executing on towards these global objectives and making sure they push their lead. Mixi in this bot lane, maybe overextended, not able to dodge the impale, and that should be Hammy coming in for the kill as Mixi does go down. makes that Ghost Wing even more of an objective that Team Hammy can look towards.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mixi just didn't have the vision, didn't respect the fact that it was very easy to catch you out at that position around the Ghost Wing, especially having it spawned, and Mixi just not having the best. I think Mixi's been great in teamfight situations, but when he's been caught in these solo lanes, he's been a little bit unaware of map movements, hasn't been really paying attention to which members of Hammy's team are available in vision right now. You always have to respect the opponents that are not currently in your vision, because the way I always say it whenever I'm teaching people about Vainglory and MOBAs in general, always assume that the enemy that isn't on the map is right next to you. You have to always assume that. And Delphi now managing to escape away from Archaic, Yugi, and Shamu, and will manage to just back out.
Yeah, that's not going to be another death to the counter here. I mean, starting all over has not gone towards the alternating current that I would have anticipated from Elara, going towards more burst damage with the Spellfire Dragon's Eye for the sustained damage.
Yeah, it's more burst orientated now, Dowsy, simply because of the way that the second basic attack is loaded. The attack speed only helps so much with that. You're really just looking to get big, powerful basic attacks off. It doesn't really matter about the attack speed because the animation on the second part of her attack is always locked into however long it takes regardless, so the attack speed doesn't help a huge amount. You just want to load up the burst on it.
Have to see if starting all over can lay down the burst, because we know how much that Hammy is laying down. Remember though, Scoundrel, the winner of this does have to go up against Evo, and you kind of want a dominating victory. Well, that's not good for Lulu Zio, as that's going to be Gatsby laying down the damage. Here comes Yuki and Shamu from the backlines trying to turn this fight around for Team Hammy, but the damage is not there. That's going to be the kills going the way of starting all over's team as he lays down deep from the backline. Boom goes the sigil onto everyone, but everyone's so low on the side of starting all over that they do have to start to fall back. A pull from Yuki, a impale from Archaic will spell disaster. Hammy's still very healthy and has a lot of energy to boot. Delphi goes on in, dodges the core collapse, but stunned against the wall. Here comes the engage coming through from Love Darling. They put Hammy on the backline. Great portal coming through from starting all over. Turns that fight in their favor. They're able to find two off the back of that. The Crystal Treant goes their way, and they want a Ghost Wing as well.
No, this is so risky. This Ghost Wing is so risky. If Lulu Zio plays this correctly, he could clean up the entire team. They're going to get it, though. Lulu doesn't feel confident enough. Doesn't feel confident enough.
That's a great death from above. Locks up two. Love Darling is in the middle. Oh, it doesn't matter. The burst comes through. 2 kills for the side of starting all over. I mean, it looked good, and then it just got deleted.
No, it looks really good. I'm not going to argue with you, but he literally just Suri striked into the middle of the team. I don't really know how to phrase this, but that was kind of bad. You have a range advantage where you can dance around a very low HP enemy with a great death from above. You don't really want to be diving into the middle of the enemy team. That's all I've got to say.
That's that's all you have to say, Scoundrel. Gold is in favor of starting all over at this point. They've pulled it back. Is it comeback all over at this point? Maybe. Too soon to tell, really. But so far, so good. After such a disastrous start here, hope is being brought back, really, to the Sovereign's Rise. And we'll have to see if they can continue the threat. The Ghost Wing's there for a little while longer. Almost depleted. Wonder where Hammy's team is thinking. There's a Solar Storm, just a warning shot more than anything.
So, we are in a situation now where Hammy is 5,000 gold behind now. He's going to potentially be caught out by Love Darling here.
Huge engage. The portal as well cuts them off. And oh my goodness, Hammy, he didn't stand a chance. Down he goes. Archaic's being taken down by Gatsby as we talk. The burst comes through from Delphi. Mid lane turret destroyed at 15.5 minutes. Finally breaking open that outer rim. And now the Black Claw going to be started up.
Black Claw immediately getting started here. This is a really good solidification for starting all over's team. They have started to take control, and it doesn't really feel like there's much that Hammy can do at this point in time. They're trying to catch starting down the bottom side of the map, but he will not get caught, and this will be a free Black Claw.
Free Black Claw indeed. All of the advantage that Hammy's team was able to generate gone. Yuki steals the Black Claw! Yuki steals the Black Claw!
What a lad! Oh, what an absolute beast. Is that what they needed to bring themselves back here? It's not going to get them an immediate gold lead, but getting something with the Black Claw potentially can. Yugi coming up big.
They're going for the fight here. Moving on in, it's going to be the Churn Walker locked against the wall. Starting Loba dives on in, potentially to his death, as Archaic roots him down. Can he get the kill? No, he can't. Shamu is dead. Gaspy cleans up on the backline. It is only Archaic alive. But this Black Claw was stolen, and is going to find this mid lane turret.
Yeah, it might not mean too much in the grand scheme of things, though, Dalsy, because that was still a cleanup fight for starting all over. The Celeste is generally quite good into a Churnwalker, right? Because you always outrange Churnwalker, and especially if you've gone for this Frostburn, you're going to keep him at bay, you're going to stop him from landing hooks. But starting is negating that with the portals. Every time Hammy steps up, starting portals on top of him, Bright Bulwarks him in position, and then they try and burst him out with Mixi and with Gaspy. I don't know if there's much that Hammy can do about it. They really need Archaic and Chamu to be there for the peel at the right time. But right now, it's looking pretty grim.
It is looking pretty grim, but God Yugi has kept things alive for Hammy here. We'll have to see if it means anything going forward. Like you mentioned, it might not mean much in the grand scheme of things. It is still a 7,000 golden advantage to teams starting all over. 17 and a half minutes, and this is the closest game we've had today, and it's exactly what you want in that contest for second place, Scoundrel. But still, you have to be looking forward to the fact that one of these people go against Evo after this game.
Yeah, and Evo's team has looked arguably the strongest by quite a large way right now, but Hammy's team are in a lifeline at this point. And right now, Starting's team is scaling up. They've got a Kinetic at almost her full build in terms of items. She might go for a 4th damage item, she might not. Gaspy's at his full item build in terms of damage. Starting is in a really strong position too. Hammy now working towards his Broken Myth. I think that'll be a big one for him. Might allow him to control the pace of these team fights a bit better, deal some damage to that front line. But they just need to peel back for Hammy. It's all about Hammy just zoning away and stopping this Starting's team from getting close enough to find a good portal.
Absolutely. At this point, can they do it? No, they can't. Lulu, he just gets destroyed. Great portal comes through from Starting all over, and that's all she wrote in the top side for Lulu's Zio, who goes down once again so quickly. Yugi, he's in the mid lane just trying to clear these waves, trying to put some pressure down. Of course, he can go across the map and pretty much decide where he wants to be at any time. 19 minutes, and it doesn't seem like Starting all over ready to commit too much. They are moving towards the bot side though. Most of the members trying to push down Yugi. But look, Yugi's just sending up waves across the map, always trying to dictate where Team Starting all over is at any point. Hammy's in the mid lane, keeping this turret alive. Archaic, Shamu, and Yugi's there. They pull Starting all over across the wall. Right, well, it comes through to try and stop up any re-engage. And the damage goes down by Team Starting all over. Hammy lays down a Solar Storm, trying to steal that Crystal Tram, but not quite able to from afar. Really just feels like an engage is just half a second off at this point. They're going for the bot side here. Mixi gets pulled in by Yugi. Death from above. Doesn't quite connect. The gauntlet's there as well. Yugi's trying to go around. Cool collapse locks up Mixi, but he stays alive for a little while. Not enough. Starting all over finds Hammy. Starting all over doing the damage from afar. Can Starting all over continue the deeps is the question. Yes, he can, as Shamu falls down. Air kills going in favor of Team Starting all over. A 3-for-1 in favor of Team Starting all over. And the Black Claw just landed. It'll be a god still if Yugi's able to do it again.
Oh, it's just that the fact that both Lulu and Hammy, they get too antsy for a kill. They put themselves right in the firing line, and because they don't have vision of starting, he finds an excellent portal on top of them. If starting portals on top of either Lulu or Hammy lands that Bright Bulwark down, and they don't have the peel of Chamu, Yugi, and Archaic there, they're gonna go down. That's the really big issue in these teamfight situations. They need to allow Yugi to be right on top of Hammy and Lulu, so that when a portal does come through, they can look to peel immediately and try and get them out of that portal range. That is the one big play they need to wait for in a team fight before they try to execute on anything. They need to wait for the portal to come through. Then they need to kite back using Archaic, Scythian Wall, Yugi looking for a stun with his B. That is ideally the situation they need to land themselves in.
Dude, that Black Claw so close to being contested there from the side of Team Hammy, but in the end it doesn't. Ghost Wing and Black Claw secured. Nothing that Team Hammy can do about it now. They just have to defend, and it is going to be Team Starting all over pushing down this mid lane with the Dragon to try and take these turrets down. The first one goes without a hitch. Super simple stuff for teams starting all over. They have so much engaged potential, remember, from this Churn Walker, from this Lyra, from this Arden, that they can dictate when the fight starts, and they can pretty much disengage it on a whim as well. Second turret falls very quickly. Armory now exposed. And here comes the engage from team starting all over. Looking for the backline is Gaspy onto Hammy. Hammy going very low, and he's taken out very quickly. 2 kills already for team starting all over. It's going to be Gaspy losing his life. But Mixi's doing the work. Double, looking for a triple onto Yuki, and he should be able to find Lunazio trying to clean up, but I don't think he can. He's inside the gauntlet, and that's going to be the ace coming through for team starting all over. From the hell of Pit's hell, they bring it back. And that's going to be them in the final against Team Evolve.
Yeah, it was just such a good comeback. They finally found the remedy to their teamfight situations. Hammy paffed a little bit awkwardly in that last teamfight, and you can't escape both the portal and then the follow-up of this weapon power Reza. They tried, but unfortunately just weren't able to keep their distance long enough in these teamfights, and that is starting all over getting the win.
Don't count your chickens before you hatch. It's team starting all over in the final versus Evo. Let's throw it back to Munch and Humanist to break it down.
What a comeback from starting all over. Incredible. They were so far behind at the start of the game, but turning things on their heads.
Look, when you're wrong, you're wrong. And I was dead wrong in my analysis. You know, Munch, I said if Starting gets behind in the early game, they're going to lose this one. That's what Hammy needs to do. His key to victory. And if my notes are correct, it was 8-0.
Yeah.
Starting's team was down, and suddenly, just a turn of unfortunate events. There was someone under turret. He gets stunned, goes down. Suddenly, someone thinks they can make the hero play. He goes down. Then another one goes down. This is 6.5 minutes in. And it goes from 8-0 to 8-3 like that. And I'm not kidding you. I walked past Starting's desk. 30 seconds into the game, he goes, I'm triggered already. He's talking to his team because I think he got first blooded right there. But like, he maintained his composure, and that's what it's all about.
He certainly did. Let's take a look at today's standings. This is the final standings as we round out our group stage. You can see Team Starting and Team Evo, both with 2 points of the board, will be our finalists moving forward into a best of 3.
I mean, this is pretty awesome, and you know, it just goes to show, like, in this kind of event here, when you got these players that haven't really played together too much, like, really anything can happen. I think at the beginning of the day, I was leaning a little bit towards Hammy and Gabe Dizzle's squad, but hey, Evil and Starting put it together, and you know, obviously Hammy's team did play very well in this last game, but you know, Starting just like clung on to that one.
Yeah, honestly, it was such a fantastic comeback as well. Welcome to the desk, gentlemen, fresh off of that game. Starting, I'm going to kick it straight off with you. Congratulations on the victory. How did that feel? Because that was a big comeback to pull off.
I'm actually feeling pretty happy right now, considering my level 1 30-second death. Delphi told me not to get caught, and that's exactly not what I did. But like, I told my team, like, as soon as I get my power spike as Lyra, I'm very confident, like, at a hero. I think we can just like win every game.
Yeah, so all about that Lyra pick.
Like, I'm not confident at Varia, but my Lyra's like my hero. Just go in, get out. Yeah.
I mean, Lyra's like a hero that you're comfortable on. We've seen you. You're one of the few players that would play Lyra in the past. You've done well on it. Obviously, not only like a good Lyra player, but it seems like everything we watched when Celeste goes against a Lyra, that's oftentimes key to victory for the opposing squad, because they can just port right onto you. And we could hear him screaming, like, once the port, he was like, I'm about to port. Yeah. Everybody takes it through, and he's like, Hammy. Yeah. That's all I hear. How did it feel from your side?
So basically, you know, we got the early lead. We were really ahead, and we got super complacent. We're kind of trolling around. We got picked off a lot. Just made a bunch of
There were those
mistakes.
3 kills. You were up 8-0, and then those 3 kind of
we were just a combination of miscommunication.
Yeah.
And you know, we threw away our gold lead, and from there it was just like, it's too late, fall behind. We had to get ahead early with our comp, so once we threw it, it's really hard to come back.
There was one fight, I think, obviously, like, that was, you know, that point where the 3 kills did go over to your side. You're down 8-0, super important. There was another fight 13 minutes in. You're at the taking Ghost Wing, right? Or down that Ghost Wing area. Everybody on your team drops down to like 25% health. But you guys like hung around there. And I was sitting there with Evil, and Evil was like, this feels like it's going to go really bad for Starting. You were down, it was a 5 versus 3, full health, full energy.
Yep.
And he's like, Hammy could actually probably 1v5 this thing. Gatsby rotates around the back, flanked you guys, and you just got blown up. Like,
Yeah.
What did that catch you by surprise?
Well, no, like I knew I didn't have a block, so for me positioning as forward as I was, even though they're all low, I have 0 defense and I'm Celeste. So like, you know, with the combination of Lyra A or just any other, like the Reza, you know, B, like the combination, I can still die, and I just misposition for 1 second and then just die. So yeah, that's how it is.
That's how it happens, man. It was a good game otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing game. Definitely a spectacle to watch. Now, starting, we're going to let you get ready for your final. Hammy, we'd appreciate if you'll stick around and help us break down the games. But don't forget, guys at home, you can be winning all the while. We're giving away a plushie, a bag, and a t-shirt right now. Make sure that you're getting involved in our giveaways in the Twitch chat. ! Giveaway to get involved. Maybe you can win yourself some Vainglory swag. But we have been giving away a ton of stuff over the course of this weekend, and we will continue to do so for the rest of the VPL Fantasy All-Stars. You can watch and win 25,000 eyes each and every weekend, $500 per week, and then also all of that Vainglory swag, and that is what we're giving away right now.
That's what we're giving away right now. And which plushies are you giving away, Munch?
The Minion and the Scarf. Those are the two.
Minion and the Scarf.
It's,
That's awesome.
It's a toss-up which one you get. We're going to be right back with our grand final. First, a quick word from Razor. All right, you know what time it is, boys and girls. It's time for our grand final. I'm going to be joined once again by Gabe Bizzle and Hammy, and Humanist, of course, to break this one down for you. But Evol versus starting all over. This was not the final I was expecting coming on into today.
I mean, we kind of leaned a certain way, but I think we all had to know, like, really this could go any way. Like, honestly, I thought Gabe had one of the strongest squads early on, wasn't able to put it together. Same thing with Hammy. It's just kind of crazy how we got here, but honestly, all of these guys have great players on their roster, and they're all capable of leading their teams.
Yeah. Now, right off the bat, I want to ask you guys, you've been playing against them all day. From like a top-down perspective, which of these teams do you feel is the strongest right now? Is there a favorite moving in, or is it just too close to call?
For me, I think that, well, I didn't get to play against Evol's team, but just looking at how he's been playing, I think he has a really good shot. When starting and Hammy played, it was really close, so I feel like Evol's just been like clapping kids, honestly. So I think Evol has the best shot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We were playing against starting team, like we were destroying them and then they just threw, so it's like, that was just a mishap on our part. No, I think we should have beat them pretty easily. So, you know, when we played against Evol's team, you know, we had a sub, so it's kind of hard to say who's going to win, but I mean, I'd still put my money on Evol. You know, he's my ex-teammate, so.
I mean, what is it about Evol's team that has been getting them so far? Like, what is that X factor? Because he was definitely the dark horse of the tournament, the one that no one was really sure how he was going to perform. What is it that has made him step a level above?
I think that his pick for Chuck, like Chuck is kind of like the centerpiece of the whole squad. I think Chuck just knows how to just play his lane, communicate with the team, just telling them where to go. I mean, that's like how it is with me and Chuck when I play with him. So I think Chuck is definitely, alongside with the mechanics on everyone of Evol's team, I think that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, and I also, like, obviously, like, he's doing a great job there. And like this is like no knock against like any of you guys at all. It's just like giving props over to Evil. I think he's done a great job strategizing and everything. Like coming into specifically like the Finn was a contested pickup going up against starting. He knew, look, I'm going to go turn walker. It's for these reasons, and then we just see it executed to a T. So that was really impressive to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can take a look at Chuck's stats coming on into the tournament as well. Hammy, I want you to talk to this because, you know, we had a bit of banter on the desk when we were doing the draft, and obviously that was all in good fun. Has Chuck outperformed your expectations in this tournament?
I mean, you know, when it comes to Chuck, it's just kind of a meme. Like, no one actually thinks he's bad. Like, he's a super solid player. He's kind of like what you want in a teammate. He doesn't make dumb mistakes, but he also takes advantage of your mistakes if you make them. He doesn't go out and do something super risky, but, you know, if you make a mistake being too risky, he'll punish you for it. So, you know, he's just a really solid player and super consistent, so you can never really go wrong with picking Chuck.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, certainly hasn't been going wrong for the side of Evol so far. And also, I think Kos in the jungle has been a huge pivotal point of his success. But I do want to talk a little bit about Starting's squad as well, because specifically Delphi, it's been up and down today. And he's a player that usually is known for his consistency. We talk about Delphi in the same way we talk about Chuck, where he's this consistent player. It's not really been the case today.
Yeah, with Delphi, I feel like it's more of the meta kind of thing. Delphi plays really well on bruisers, but bruisers that can, you know, have some damage, have some defense as well. He's kind of building that straight Sorrow Blade tension bow, and it makes you really squishy. So you just go in, it's just burst damage, and then if you can get out, you get out. But most likely, you're just going to take a huge damage trade.
Yeah, and it's such a difficult situation when you are on the brunt of that damage. Let's take a look at our rosters as we move on into our grand final. Starting off with Evol's lineup, we've got Evol, Kos, Chuck, Outplayed, and Neon Fire. And Hammy, talk me through this roster. Who are the guys that really jump out at you?
Okay, so first of all, obviously, the combination between Chuck and Evol in lane, that's going to, in the mid lane, it's going to really set the pace of the game. You know, whether they're going to be free to rotate or they get a bunch of picks, you know. Mid lane's super important in terms of just how the game flows for your team. Also the jungle with Kos, you know, him playing smart, rotating correctly, being in the right lanes at the right time to support his team. You know, also Neon just not losing, you know, too much. He needs to play here, like probably clear lane, just stay safe and hold his turret up.
Awesome. And over on the other side of the board as well, we're going to have Starting all over. Gabe, you've been playing against them as well across the course of today. Would you be able to give us a bit of credence on this Starting all over lineup, because, you know, he started things off by grabbing up his teammates as well, which is a similar strategy to what you employed in the draft.
Yeah.
It's been working out pretty well for him.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be pretty much a, like, Starting Edial and Delphi. It's going to be pretty much that matchup. Like, Evil has Kos, Chuck. It's really going to be those kind of positions. It's going to be the mid laner, jungler, and support. So you just got to watch out for that matchup and just see who comes up on top.
It does kind of feel like Love Darling is a bit of like the X factor in this matchup, specifically because like it's not the role that he's totally used to, but he's been doing well through the day. Like you guys both were able to match up against him. Did you feel like he was like performing pretty well in that position?
Yeah, I mean he does what he needs to do. Like he does not super spectacular at anything specifically, but you know, he gets the job done, and obviously it's worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would just say that there isn't really anything that I noticed as a support that he's like doing super well. It's just he's doing his job. He's getting the crucibles, getting the fountains for his team. So yeah, I definitely think that being comfortable with Starting and Delphi, I think it's just they're all playing so well.
Absolutely. I think one player that I feel like we should talk about here is Gatsby. Because Gatsby, similar to Delphi, has been kind of hit or miss today, but whether hit or miss, he's been going down in a blaze of glory. He has been making these plays and trying to find 1v1s. I mean, we've been watching the games together. What do you guys make of a player like Gatsby? Because it feels kind of unpredictable to play against him.
Yeah, Gatsby is definitely that unpredictable player. When I was jungling and I was going into their back doubles, Gatsby was already there. He was ready. He like knew what I was gonna do. So I think that Gatsby just has a really good knowledge of the game and just can be consistent in the times that he needs to be, and just he needs that team to really help him be successful.
Yeah, and Gatsby's a player that you've got quite a bit of experience playing around. Would you agree with what Gabe says there?
Yeah, I mean, Gatsby's like, He's a risky player, so he either has success or he doesn't. So either he's getting steamrolled or he's doing really well getting picks. I mean, he doesn't really just have like a normal game. It's just, either it's really one-sided or he's just, it's not going to
It's really one-sided either way.
Yeah.
It's just which side of the coin we'll find ourselves on. We're jumping on into the draft. This is our grand final, ladies and gentlemen. Team Evo up against Team Starting. Now, you guys have been drafting all day long. What are the priority picks here coming on in? What do you need to ban, and what do you need to get early on in the draft? Start with you, Hammy.
I mean, personally, I think Lorelai is a big priority pick. She's super strong in both mid and in support. She provides a lot. She's super strong throughout the whole phase of the game. So personally, I think getting Lorelai is super important.
All right, we are just going to have to get that draft restarted. Humanist, you've been watching all day. What really stands out to you in these drafts?
I don't know. I space out through a lot of these drafts. I just kind of go autopilot on you once. But I just want to ask you guys specifically about Yates. We saw it played a lot through the day. And maybe it's because people just aren't super comfortable on the pick. What were the reasons you're picking it up? And then maybe you could also answer, like, what are the reasons you think it wasn't having success?
So the reason why you would want to pick up a Yates is for the early game. Other than that, if the biggest counter to Yates is Finn. So if you have a Finn on the other side and you pick Yates, it's like counterintuitive because you want to pull, but if Finn body blocks you, you're not going to get that pull off. And just Finn in general is just, I think he's ban or pick worthy. So I think teams should definitely pick those up.
We've seen a lot of Finn bans across the course of today as well. That's definitely fair to say. We are back on into the draft. And we've got Giggle Pits on the left-hand side of the table. Reza, going to be the first ban coming out. I believe that was followed by a Sylvanel. We've got a Jewel and a Churn Walker as well. And now Evo with that first pick. Anchor, first time today we're going to see her jumping in. So what do you guys make of that Anchor first pick?
I mean, Anka's a super, she's one of the most strong heroes in the game. Her kit is just, it's super unbalanced in my opinion, I think they should put it on someone that's mechanically good, so I'd probably put it on Kaz if I was on Team Evo, He goes for those risky plays, but he's super mechanically gifted, so yeah. Yeah,
I'll most likely go on to Kaz.
What is it about Anchor that makes her such a strong pick?
So you're always a threat, so you can always mark somebody with your A, and so you can kind of leave people wondering, like, oh, is he gonna dash to me? Like at any time, you miss position, she hits you with that A, you can just die one combination. With her ult and her B, she just deletes carries. And with this patch specifically, no one's building defense. So a hero like her, she has a Shadow Glass and Spellfire. You just die in one combo, so you cannot miss position versus Anka at all.
What's the reason that he would maybe first pick that right away?
Well, it's just one of the strongest heroes in the game. It's just like a free win whenever you get Anka, because it's just
was she banned out through all these other games? Is that why we weren't seeing her?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Anchor bans here today. Let's talk about the side of starting as well. Lorelai and Finn immediately locked in. We've got Lance as well. All three of these have been incredibly strong in both captain and other roles. Definitely feels like classic starting, right? Where you build this composition that is all about protecting that late game carry.
Yeah, I definitely think starting's comp is really good. They have Lorelai, Finn, Lance, and now the Kinetic. That's already 4 CC on your team, right? But with Evil having the Anka, you don't really know how that's going to play out because Anka has a really high win rate. So it's kind of, I'm not really sure. Starting does have a really good team though.
I mean, Anka, obviously, like you guys talked about, the burst potential, maybe the highest burst in the game. How does it play into that beef squad lineup? Because while she has huge burst, they're gonna have a lot of health on this squad.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Anka, you just gotta pick your engagements correctly. You can't go in against a bunch of people at CC. If you're going at the wrong time, you just get CC. You can still die fast. Anka doesn't build defense. Yeah. So you just gotta make sure when you're engaging with the Anka that you can get a pick off on somebody or get a lot of damage and be able to get out. So probably having that ultimate up on her whenever she goes in is gonna be really key.
And from the captain perspective, Gabe, what would it do to your mindset knowing you're playing against this huge burst potential on that side?
See, the thing is about Anka, you can't really do too much about that. Just like Hammy said, no one's building any defense. So if you are the Finn and you're playing support, there's not much you can do. You can try to build a wrecked build with all kinetic shields and just try to help out with that burst damage. But in the end, there's nothing you can really do against the Anka.
I'm so glad we got to bring up Rex just for a second. I was like, come on, dude, where's Rex? What's going on with this guy?
It's an old school shout,
He
right?
should be here like week 4 or something. You know, we should try to get that guy in. As
We'll
far as
see.
the drafts, do we have a clear winner from you guys?
I'm gonna go with Evol's team here. You got Chuck on Celeste. I think that's a really big, pick for Chuck. He's definitely probably the best Celeste in the world. So getting him on that pick that he's super comfortable on is really important for that mid lane.
Yeah, and for me, I'm gonna have to go with Evol as well, just because they have that Anka pick.
Cool.
Also, there was a Grace pick as the final lock in there. I believe it went over to Gatsby. We'll see how he's going to do with that one. But it's time to jump into our grand final. It's all kicking off. It's starting all over, going up against Evol. I'm going to kick it over to the caster booth once more. Dowsy and Excoundrel will walk you through the finals.
All right, it's time, Excoundrel. The finals between Team Evol and Team Starting. Who is going to be walking away with the cash money prize of this All-Stars event week 2? Well, it's a best of 3 to find out.
Well, we'll have to see from the drafts. We've got the Anchor, which has been a very high ban rate. Technically the second most banned hero in high elo on this current update. She's very, very strong. She preys on a lot of the squishy heroes that exist in this meta. And we'll have to see with Chuck on his Celeste. That is a good pick for him. You've got Evil on the Catherine. Into the Finn is an interesting one. The silence can be really powerful in the later stages of this game. Lots of protection and single target lockdown as well, which is good versus something like Mixi on this kinetic.
Yeah, Captain Finn as well. Love Darling wanting to take his team to victory. Be interesting to see if Starting all over on this Lorelei can put the deeps out that he needs to against Evo and Chuck here. Lots of CC lock available, as you're going to see that going in for the Merciless Pursuit, and Chuck can lay down the core collapse later on into this game. Like you mentioned, that Anchor, very high ban rate so far through all the drafts. I have to see how Outplayed does decide to play. Got that crystal bit in tail as well. I mean, we kind of joked in draft that we might see a weapon power Anchor with Tension Joe just for lols, but I'm sure we're going to see something a little bit more standard from Outplayed.
Yeah, I mean, it's only because I had a Tension Bow Anchor in my solo queue game. The Legend of Jixie on the European server does that kind of thing. However, it looks like with the Crystal Bit in tow, it's going to be Outplayed just running, or rather Louis just running with the classic CP Anchor, the high burst damage. Not many great targets, but if you can single out Mixi, that's going to be the primary target for Louis on this particular game. And because of the mobility of Anchor, she can circumnavigate the Finn, the Lance, the Grey. She's quite hard to lock down, so there is a good potential for Outplay to find his target in this game.
Can we just get a camera, like a zoom in camera on Love Darling? I don't know. I just want to showcase his hat. That hat just looks so cool on Finn. It's perfection, literally. This is how you win games in Vainglory, by the way. Buy the best hat, put it on Finn, win games. I mean, that's Dalcy's top tips to win a Vainglory game. Tune in next week for the next video. Make sure you hit the like. No, okay, we're not going down that route. I mean, yeah, you're talking about how Outplayed on this Anchor doesn't have many targets. Mixi's really the only high squishy target that he can dump onto. The issue is you got this Grace. Gaspy's playing, going to be providing the damage reduction with the ultimate. You got Starting all over with the Water Wall to provide a shield as well. Really hard stuff, honestly, for Outplay, but here comes Evil trying to set it up. Koz dives in, but it may just be a bait. Evil, you're in trouble, pal. And Mixi's going to find first blood.
Well, that is the problem with the Catherine in these situations. He's very easy to single out once that Storm Shield drops. She's a very squishy target. Is maxing her stun first, by the way, which is usually when you're trying to lock down a target or you're just trying to stack up consistently. And that's something Evil's trying to do here.
Is Delphi dead? Question on my lips right here. Starting him low, goes in for the steal, but it is secured by Koz. Chuck is in trouble as Love Darling charges forward and lays down the deeps. It's going to be the kill going Starting's way. Moving forward, looking for more. Koz is going to be the target. Leon Fire is coming from the back line. Can he provide any shielding? Yes, he can. And a kill goes his way as well. Now it's Love Darling who has to escape with this Finn. Mixi rotating, but it's a little bit too late. That's going to be Love Darling going down as Neon Fire finds his second. Evo wants Delphi. Delphi has to charge away with the boots proc to get the distance gone. At this point, though, 2 for 2, all tied up.
One of the things that we don't really know about the Catherine in this situation, Darcy, is that whilst it is pretty bad into Finn, for instance, it's good into things like Lance. You know, Lance goes to the Impale, you just stun him, it stops the Impale in its tracks, and also because the stacks that you can generate by maxing stun first. Remember, base shield is down, and versus a Lorelei, and also versus Mixi on this kinetic when you're building up the armor, you can get loads of free defenses as a Catherine, and with defenses being a little bit harder to come by, that makes Catherine pretty powerful in this situation just for that specific reason, although she is a little bit lower lane pressure than the Finn specifically, and so doesn't provide as much space as the Churnwalker would have for Chuck, but Chuck's been doing pretty fine so far.
Yeah, doing pretty fine. I mean, Chuck knows how to position with this Celeste. He's been doing it all his life, so I hear. He's going to be able to dance around those team fights, and Evil's going to provide the lockdown necessary for his team to really engage those fights. The silence can be so crucial as well to allowing, I suppose, Outplay to be that backline threat that we need, or I guess that frontline threat, really. Chuck, a little bit under fire here. Dodges out the Impale from Delphi. Should be okay for now. Really, it's just this 2v1 on this botlane turret. Outplayed and Koz doing their best to take it down as quickly as possible. And Mixi doesn't have the support that he would want from this Finn to be able to lay down the pain of his own.
No, Chuck and Evo given enough space here to get the crystal trinket for themselves. That's because of a rotation down to the bot lane here for starting.
Yeah, Koz is in trouble. Starting's looking for the kill. Here's the speed coming through. Gaspy gets hit by a Solar Storm. Going to be the taunt onto quite a few, and Evo's there as well to provide the front line necessary to keep everyone else alive. So good rotations really coming out from Team Evo. Not really too worried about what Starting All Over was doing there, and Chuck gets a lot of gold in the mid lane.
Yeah, Chuck given some free farm in that situation. Allows us to catch a little bit up towards starting. It was a nice disengage by Outplayed and by Neon in that bot side of the map. Things remaining pretty even across the board here. Really only a small gold lead, slim line going over to the side of starting, and that's likely just because of that top lane turret going down to Mixi very early on. Neon struggling to clear those waves versus that
Delphi.
pressure coming out. Ooh.
Delphi might lose his life here. Fountain thrown out. There's the Butterboom, not really connecting onto anyone. Koz not able to find the engage he wants. There's a good silence though. Mixi's coming around the backline, but Chuck, he's laying down the damage, looking for Starting All Over, and it's going to be Neon Fire to find it. Love Darling, a very slow Finn. Can't really walk away from this one, and he'll go down as well to Chuck. 2 kills for Team Evo there. They're going to turn their faces towards this Ghost Wing.
I love this. When you take a massive advantage on the map, this is the kind of thing that you just never see happen in solo queue. And you're like, come on, guys, let's take Ghost Wing. And you've got some random, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a ridiculous pick. Cruel in the side lane. Well, Cruel's not that ridiculous. Just like split pushing, like, Cruel, let's take Ghost Wing. We've got 2 kills. He's like, nah, boys. Going to take this first tier turret, and then never ends up getting it. This is what we get from professional play. This is where you take down the members, you take an objective off the map straight away, and then you get a global advantage because of it. That is a really nice conversion by Chuck's team.
Really nice stuff, and that's going to be potentially what they need to start snowballing the lead in their favor. Team Evo looking to try and take this forward a little bit further. Now contesting that Crystal Trinket. Lots of bursts coming through from those Helogenesis. Oh, that lockup. That's the Solar Storm burning away. Gonna have to use that Water Wall and the Fountain. Potentially didn't need both. Keep Starting All Over alive. Delphi's moving in. Needs to be there to try and keep this turret alive a little bit longer. But as we speak, that's going to be Outplayed and Koz taking down turret and Gaspy in the bot side. Mixi's trying to do his best, pressure Neon Fire in the top side, but it doesn't feel like Mixi's efforts are quite as matched to the rest of what Evo's team is putting out.
Oh, wow. This is good for Chuck's team right now. Evol as well, getting huge amounts of stacks coming on his way with 18 stacked up. He got the Crucible first to make sure they don't get pulled in by the Finn. That nullifies that Finn mid-game advantage that you've seen a lot of Finns get in this day of games so far. And honestly, this is really, really good. That's why you buy the Crucible versus Finn. Follow-up from Delphi, but just isn't enough. Lots of damage coming down as well. Chuck could search for a Solar Storm in 10 seconds, but not much going to happen.
Yeah, no, they're just going to allow Love Darling to go back to base. Chuck going to move down towards the Gold Oak. I say that. And take that with Outplayed. We promised an Oak, scoundrel. We promised.
Yeah, I can tell you about the reason as to why the toad hasn't appeared yet. Do you want to know a story about the reason as to why the toad hasn't appeared?
Tell me a story about a toad, Scoundrel.
All right. So as far as I'm aware, the reason that we haven't seen the toad instead of the gold oak is because that the Vainglory map can only handle a certain amount of moving characters. I believe it's something like 40 moving characters can be handled on the Vainglory map right now, which means that adding a toad actually adds another separate unique moving character, which actually will overload.
I'm gonna have to interrupt you, Scoundrel. Teamfight's kind of break down here. There's gonna be Mixie finding one, Mixie finding two, Mixie looking for more as Evo has to run away here. Starting all over, trying to put damage down onto Chuck. Evo now marching his way out. A tanky Catherine gets stunned up. It's Chuck though they want, and it is gonna be Delphi looking for him. Cole, they get the kill. Yes, they can. Love Darling pulls him in. Mixie 3 kills, and the 4th goes the way. Oh my god, as Caspi takes down Outplayed on the other side of the map. Pretty much an ace for the side of Starting all over.
Damn, that Evo's team overextending ever so slightly on that top side of the map, and Starting immediately capitalizes. They're going to get that mid lane turret. They might even set up for a Ghost Wing 2 that now they have the time. Really, really good stuff of just a small pick, and unfortunately that was kind of like lemmings, one by one, walking to their death in that machine that is Starting all over's team. Yeah, looks like Cos may be trying to contest this, but while we have a bit of downtime, basically, if you added the gold toad, you add another moving character, which would melt your devices, essentially. Unfortunately, that's what would happen.
Gold Toad confirmed to melt